Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, it's audible.
Hello, am I audible? Someone can just turn on the mic and just say.
Yeah, you're audible, Goody.
Yes, Ram Charan, you're
You're
audible.
audible.
Okay, I'd like to thank everybody who has joined. You can ask your friends to join this link, but even if we reach the limit, we are streaming this on YouTube. We'll post the link in the chat there and we'll also send it through email. Cool. Do we have the candidates here? Anfas is here. Is Chinmay here?
Yeah, Chinmay is here.
Chinmay, can you turn on your mic and just say where you are? I don't think she's here.
Hey, I'm having a few issues with my internet connection. Can I take 5 minutes?
Yeah, sure. Can the candidates hear me? Chinmay and Anfas, if you can hear, you can just say yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Basically, if both of you had arrived early, we would have done a coin toss. So we'll just do it now. Uh, Anfas, you have arrived early, so you can just say which one you want, heads or tails.
Heads.
Okay. Okay, you won the toss, so you get to pick the order. Cool. Do you want to go first, or do you want Chinmay to go first?
I'll go first.
Cool. We'll start the session once a lot of people join, and then you're going to present it yourself, right?
Yeah, I'll present it myself.
Cool. We'll start in a few minutes. All the audience attending.
Sorry, who's going first?
Anfas.
I'll be going first, yeah.
Sure.
Okay. To all the audience members joining, before Anfas speaks, I'll brief the instructions once, and then he'll start speaking. Until then, we can just wait. Okay, I think we can start. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Ram Charan. I'm head of the Election Commission. And joining me are my co-commissioners, Jasmine and Mihir. Today, we are joining for the Soapbox of Hostel Affairs Secretary. There are three candidates, Anfas Nijum, Chinmay Gajula, and Kranti Kirit. We have two of them here. I'll explain the format of this session today. We will have two presentations one presentation each by Anfas and Chinmay that will go on for 8 minutes. Those two sessions will be timed. After both of them give their presentation, we'll move on to a cross-questioning round where Anfas gets to ask Chinmay 3 questions and Chinmay can ask Anfas 3 questions. And for each question, they get 2 follow-ups. Follow-up in the sense, if Chinmay asks Anfas a question, Anfas can give an answer. Chinmay can also ask again if she doesn't understand any point or she thinks there is more to question in that regard. That is a format of cross-questioning. After cross-questioning, we'll move on to Executive Council questioning, where members of the Executive Council can ask both Anfas or Chinmay whatever question they want. That will happen for 30 to 45 minutes. And after that, we'll allow the audience to ask any questions if they have. If you're a member of the audience who wants to ask a question, you can just fill this Google form that I'm putting in the chat. You can fill that form and we'll with your name and roll number. I'll just call your name and you can turn on your mic and ask your question. After that, if everybody, if all of your questions are exhausted, we can just end the session over there. Now, before we asked the candidates to join 15 minutes early, both of them did not join. So both of them were late. So we had to hold a coin toss again. Anfas has won the coin toss and has chosen to go first. So we'll be starting his presentation now.
Okay.
You can start. You can start.
Is it visible? I've started presenting.
Yes, your presentation is visible. You're also visible, audible.
All right. Cool. So hello everyone. My name is Anfas and I'm standing for the post of Hostel Affairs Secretary. Due to time constraints, I'll be skimming through each of the points in my manifesto. Let's go forward. I'll start with my vision, accessibility, sustainability, and building a system that will outlive the individual tenure will be my vision for my tenure. Going forward, I'll start with my first point in my manifesto. It's about InstiAir. InstiAir is my solution to the limited infrastructure that we have. We have a lot of constraints to expanding the infrastructure, and InstiAir will be our way of virtually expanding the facilities inside the campus as well as selected ones outside. All right, going forward, I have a data-driven approach. I want to introduce a data-driven approach for both CMJFS
and first, your PPT is not moving. Your PPT, you're stuck at the first slide.
Okay, just a second, then I'll stop presenting and start again.
I've paused your clock as well. I've paused your clock.
Sure. Okay, how about now? Is it fine now?
We are able to see a different slide. Can you try sliding?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's changing.
Is it changing?
Yeah.
Shall I restart the clock? One second. How about now? Is it changing now?
It's not.
Okay, fine. There is a small issue, I guess. The slide that you're changing is not supposed to. Oh, okay, fine. In that case, I'll just start off from the beginning. Okay, one second. Is it moving now?
Yeah, it's moving.
Okay, fine. I think it's an issue with Google. So do I have to start from beginning or I can just continue?
You can just continue or you can start from beginning, but yeah, I'll just start the clock. Cool.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, cool. So the data-driven approach that I was talking about. So the CMJFS and MMCC teams are the teams. The CMJFS teams will monitor all the all the facilities like the HFC, the SFC, Anjapar area, etc. And the mess monitoring committee, that is the MMCC, monitors the messes. Both the teams have coordinators doing a lot of work like inspection, feedback analysis. But being part of the team myself, I believe that this is not incentive enough for the people to work effectively. This is because primarily they're not able to use their own skills, the skills that they and they're not getting the required learning curve from this work. But my data-driven approach will be a method to increase their incentive and will have better results from the team. I will strengthen the team, basically. So how am I going to do that with the CMJFS team? We'll know how much items are being sold, what is the traffic in HFC at what time, and all those kinds of data. We'll be able to analyze this data to figure out patterns, and then the CMJFS students will be able to find out redundancies in the mess menu, etc., in the shop menus, etc. So this is the data-driven approach that I propose for CMJFS. In mess menu, it becomes more profound because there are a lot of big issues that comes when it comes to the messes, the problems in messes. For example, wastage. Second thing being menu making. If you've been part of the menu making process, you know how it will be. I'll explain. So we'll have a set of bucket list from the caterer, and we'll ask the caterer to put required items in the menu. But we do not have an advantage here because the caterer gets to decide the pattern of student. They'll say, because we are leaving the gauging part to the caterer, and this leaves us at the disadvantaged end. But once we have proper data, we will be able to tell the caterer, so we need this particular item on the menu, and this item is not being used. This is not fine. If there's a variation in the student pattern, or if I find a new policy to improve the breakfast, for example, like I'm introducing, for example, 4 years back when we introduced cornflakes or egg to the breakfast, the number of students coming for breakfast increased. But we did not have any method to measure it or identify that. But this data-driven approach will be the solution to that, and it will be a new it will be a new approach and completely going to revolutionize the working of CMJFS and MMCC team. Going forward, I have the homing committee. This is a point that is aimed at the freshie hostels. Because of a policy change regarding ragging and all, we have first year students, be it PG or UG, being in one hostel. Because of this, they are not able to use that the budget of that hostel properly, and there's a lot of problems that they come to face when they're starting their life in institute. And in homing committee, a combined initiative by the HS and SGS, is my solution to that. Going forward, I have a budget transparency. So this is a very simple idea. If you have seen iCollege, you can see that you will be able to find the condition of the table or chair in your room if you check in iCollege. If we have such a system, it's all I'm going to do is add a new tab where you can see the budget of each of the secretaries and the amount that will be spent. This will clearly increase the budget transparency. Going forward, yeah, now I'm coming to the next pillar of my manifesto, and this is about student safety and welfare. Introduction of a central task force. The current HS had a dynamic task force, and it was a lot helpful in times of the pandemic, but that is not a permanent solution to the health concerns that is going to be risen. And my solution is a central task force. I cannot bring a new team with some static or dynamic roles or something where I cannot promise the students an incentive. But my idea is to have the existing team work a little differently. I'll be redefining the roles a little bit so that the existing system will be more effective. I'll have the CMJFS, MMCC, and the HHSs to be part of this committee. Going forward, I'm going to fix a PA system. The PA system, as you all know, will be a very efficient method of communication for the entire hostel. Going forward, yeah, so this is a feasibility for the PA system. Institute-wide cycle service. For the first time, we are going to have a crisis where there will be a requirement about of servicing for about 6,000 plus cycles, and you know how much time it's going to take to service a cycle, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to slot this properly so that students will not have a set of chaos. For example, we'll know how much time it's going to repair chains, or we'll know what is the time required for various types of services. We are going to conduct a survey, and we'll find out how much time is required for each hostel. That allotting will be done properly so that we will reduce the traffic and people will not have to, there will not be clash, basically. Going forward, under the social inclusion and accessibility pillar, I have inclusivity. So I've been working on for the accessibility team for a while, and I know how much inclusivity means. So a simple addition of special assistance to the CMJFS app can be a beginning to something big. You guys, as you all know, each of the hostels do not have a differentially able friendly bathroom, and that is also something that we need. So basically, social inclusion and accessibility will be at the heart of our tenure. Sure, going forward, food sock. So food is a great embodiment of the diverse culture we have in Institute. This is something that I understood as being a traveler myself. Food is deeply connected to the culture and the heritage and the history of various people that we have around the nation. And this is something that we can use to bring people together. I have a set of events already planned, and during my interaction in the past 2 weeks, I've got more events. For example, Freshie had introduced me to an idea of conducting a food memes competition. So basically, food talk will be
7 minutes are over. You have 1 more minute left.
Yeah, sure. So food talk is an event that I would like to bring forward to bring people together under the name of food. And then this is a set of events that I have planned. Under the final pillar, that is sustainability, I'm going to introduce a sustainable hostel award. This is my plan. I'm going to start with basic metrics like electricity and water. I also have further expansion plans. Going forward, we have I'm going to introduce sanitary pad dispenser. This is the statistics And this is the model of the dispenser that we will be bringing forward. Due to time constraint, I'll be going forward. Put menu is my initiative to better curb the mess wastage, and we'll also be getting more people involved in the process. We are also giving people the opportunity to choose their menu for one day, which will probably go more than the rate of one particular day, but they have earned it.
You can wrap up in 10 more
And
seconds.
going further, I have smokeless incinerators, which is a follow-up. And so basically, these are my the other follow-ups that I have planned for my tenure. This is essentials. So some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, and others make it happen. I'm the one who belongs to that last category, and I believe that I will be able to fulfill everything that I have promised and much more. Thank you.
Thank you, Anfas. You can stop presenting. We would like to advise the students who are typing in the chat box not to spam, because the candidate might get distracted and all of that. So we understand the concern that the Google Meet can only limit 100 people, but that was installed because candidates faced a lot of issues with internet in the last WebEx session. This session is being streamed on YouTube, so everybody can just go and watch it there. We have put the link in the chat box as well. So if you have any questions, you can just fill the form. Don't post on the chat box. We'll have enough time to call on everybody. Chat will be just distracting to others. So if we can do that, that would be great. Now I would like to ask Chinmay, the other candidate, to start presenting. Chinmay, am I audible?
Yes, 1 second.
Okay, are you starting now? Yeah, you can just start.
1 second. Yeah. Hi guys, I am Chinmay Gajla, ED 4th year. I'm here to tell you about my initiatives. So my vision is to strengthen the existing mechanisms in INSTI by taking up small yet impactful initiatives, and also to take into account the current uncertainty and have initiatives that are flexible and can adapt to times. So I have divided my manifesto into 4 parts. The first part, not necessarily in that order, is infrastructure. So I plan to improve. Himalaya, as we know it, is very loud, and it's also not that great in terms of ambience. We go to Himalaya to have a break from our mess routine. So I feel that Himalaya can be revamped. We can have sound panels to absorb all the noise, and we can have better lighting so that the dining experience is improved. And I also propose to have an open hangout space near Primart. So we see that there is no replacements for hangout spaces. The food part has been replaced by the eateries that have come in newly. But the hangout spaces haven't been replaced. So I propose to have a hangout space in Primart, near Primart, with Wi-Fi, electricity, and tables and chairs set up, so that you can have team meetings, whatever. And a lot of us face problems with washing machines. So when we put our clothes for washing, and when we leave it and go, if they fall down in the washroom, we'll have to wash them again, which wastes a lot of water. So I plan to have dedicated laundry spaces set up wherever we can find space, so that this doesn't happen. And yeah. Yeah, I also, so there's a pressing need for funding in terms of long-term infrastructure for the hostel. So I plan to collaborate with INAR to formalize and set up a dedicated section in the Joy of Giving portal, so that so if any hostel secretary has any hostel council has any proposal, they can put up their requirements in that portal, and they can put up their vision, and this vision will be overseen so that it gets implemented by the HAS and the INAR secretaries. And the funds utilization and everything, all the students will be a part of that. So the second part of my manifesto is facilities and dining. So online ordering from Primart was being done during COVID, and I plan to make it more long term, and this can be done. So currently it's happening via Google Forms. Until we have the CMGFS app ready, this can be done via Google Forms, or even finders can do it. And this is needed because all the facilities are getting digitized, and it'll also help during, it'll also help avoid rush, avoid crowds, and it'll help you plan in advance. So I also plan to have healthy extras in the mess for this is a real concern for people who work out. We don't have rigorous nutrient supply, as in to complement someone who's working out, someone who wants to build their body, or someone who wants to follow diet plans, specific diet plans. So we have no provisions currently for them in the mess. And so if we will pilot this, and if it is a success, we will extend it to low carb and keto diets. And the advantage with this is that this isn't as perishable as the current extras. That is, the curries that we have right now go bad in 5 hours to 6 hours, but the extras that I propose are will sustain for at least a day or two. So I also plan to have a nutritional consultant or a dietitian to chalk out plans for students based on surveys that he/she designs, and takes like categorizes students into different groups, and then chalks out how much they should eat, what they should eat from what's available in the mess. And so this will also help us in achieving our Eat Right certification. And yeah, they'll also oversee the menu making process, and they will also be involved in CMGFS vendor scouting. So we also plan to have CMGFS weekenders where one shop will be selected per month, and they will be offering us discounts for a time interval. And we'll also conduct competitions regarding that shop, like best dish and many more competitions that I can't remember right now. So we will also, this will serve as a platform for awareness, and we'll also collaborate with Cooking Club to have competitions like eating quizzes, and also the chef will teach us how to make that best dish, and etc. So restructuring CMGFS, specialized verticals will be introduced to increase the efficiency of the team. And this will add value to the team members that are currently perceived as doing menial work, which is not true. So if we formalize the fact that, they are doing all this, but there's no structure to it. So if we add that structure, they can have something to show for it, basically. And I also plan to tackle COVID-19 with COVID-19 safety kits at reduced costs for the students. This will help reiterate the importance of taking precautionary measures during COVID-19. And yeah, buying in bulk is always cheaper, right? So these will be provided at cheaper rates to the students because we'll be buying in bulk. And digitization. So there are 2 points under this. One is crowd tracking. So due to COVID-19, again, you might want to avoid crowds. So we will, for 5 days, we'll pilot, we'll have someone manually counting the head counts and taking note of the time and all. And we will have numbers of average amount spent by a person at a particular facility. And we will take in the amount once these average numbers are with us. We will take into account the next day to estimate. We will have the number of orders and the amount that is there, and we will divide it by the average amount to have a number of estimate for the number of people currently in that eatery. And we
you have 7 minutes. You have 7
average
minutes
time.
Is 7 minutes enough? You have one and a half minute.
Sure. and we'll have a has grievance committee with static and dynamic roles. Static people will take up long-term responsibility and vision. Dynamic people will give us on-ground what's happening, feedback, and help us implement stuff. So for follow-ups, I propose to have late night canteen at FFT and hybrid mess and Eat Right campus certification and CMGFSR. So these are my credentials. I put up proper feasibility checks and everything. So please do go through my manifesto and feasibility report. That's it. If you have any questions, please scan this QR code to go to my link tree, and then you can message me on any links available over there. So that's about me. Thank you guys. Thank you for your time.
Okay, you were well within time actually. Cool. So now both of the candidates have presented their PPTs that they have made themselves. Now we'll move on to the cross questioning round. Before we go there, I'll just explain the rules. Again, each candidate has 3 questions. Chinmay can ask Anfas 3 questions, Anfas can ask Chinmay 3 questions, and for each question they get 2 follow-ups. We will ask the candidates not to interrupt or turn on your mics in the middle. If you interrupt your opponent while you're asking a question, I'll just count it as a follow-up. So let your opponent finish their answer. You'll have 2 minutes, around 2 minutes. We'll not strictly enforce the time, but try to keep your answers to 2 minutes. And then for follow-ups, try to keep it around 45 seconds to 1 minute. Now, that's pretty much about the rules. After the cross questioning, we'll move on to the executive council questioning. And then after that, we'll have audience questioning as well. If any of the members of the audience have a question, you can just post in the link over here. I put in the chat. Cool. So that's it. Anfas, you have won the toss. So would you like to ask the first question, or would you want Chinmay to ask?
Sure. Yeah, I'll begin.
Okay.
So,
your first cross question starts now.
Yeah, so my point is about the open hangout space. Providing an open hangout area for students has been a recurring GenSec manifesto point for the last 5 years. Why do you think it has not been implemented yet? Yeah.
So there have been multiple proposals. It has been passed by the Dean Committee. It's just, I feel that there wasn't enough push from the students towards, the realization of this, because there have been scouting places and there was a proper plan and proposal put forth in the Dean Committee. So it's all formalized. It's just not happening. And my manifesto point is that I will push it to happen.
So can I ask my follow-up?
Yeah, ask your follow-up.
So the major reason why I had asked this question is because I tried the same thing before, and I was told one reason. So if I was going to put up electricity plug points or Wi-Fi and all, who will answer the environmental hazards? Like we have monkeys here running here, and who will take care of employing the security and all those other related stuff? So this is one reason why, because I had a similar point.
That is 2 questions.
No.
Told. Yeah.
Those are 2 questions.
Yeah, Chinmay. You need. This is not your turn. You not interrupt. But I can't cut because it's not a question anyway. So when you ask something, ask it as a question. So what is the question in Anfas?
Yeah. So tell me, like, so this is the main issue. So why do you think were you not aware about it?
Can you reframe the question? I want one question.
Yeah, just ask the question.
Yeah, so this is a question. I mean, were you not aware about all these things when you put the manifesto?
On what things? Please be more explicit.
Environmental factors, including monkeys.
I was aware, and I have done my feasibility checks. So for Wi-Fi, we will have low-range Wi-Fi, which will not affect the deer corridor, which is on the right side of Primart, by the way, not on the left. And the space I am proposing is on the left side. And number 2, for electricity and plug points, their electricity, the switchboards are all proofed. Like when you try to switch it on, you don't get shocks. So obviously the monkeys and all, they definitely won't get shocks. And even if they do, we can have locking mechanisms for that as well. And
have you talked about this to the dean? Because if you
this is the second follow-up.
Yeah, I'll ask it again. Yeah. So if you had talked about to the dean, he would have mentioned the two things. That is the first thing about the electrical plug points, and second thing is that the primary space will not be there anymore. It's going to be a temporary space because the SFC 2.0 is going to come. So basically, if you had talked to the dean, you would have known about these things and you wouldn't have put this point.
Correct. Correct. I have talked to the dean about this. He had mentioned that the admin was in discussions about whether there needs to be installed SFC 2.0 or an open hangout space, and there was already a proposal put forth for an open hangout space, and I felt that it would be easier to push forward the already existing proposal rather than an SFC 2.0 because there is already a HFC right nearby. And also regarding the other point, that is the plug points and all, I've answered that sufficiently and I've talked to the dean about it. So
Okay, both of his follow-ups are over. So Chinmay, you can ask your question. I just
I thought-
advise both the candidates to no, he'll get one question, then you get a question. So you'll crisscross it that way. And when you ask a question, just ask a question. Do not give an elaborator right up before.
Correct. So in your task force, you've mentioned that you will involve all the CMGFS cores and MMCC cores and HAS cores, and you've listed down a set of duties that they will do. So my question to you is, these are all their duties. What is new about this task force?
All right. So as you might know, this is the exactly why the main reason why we have this point is I'm not adding anything more, but we are making sure that there's a proper channel for proper communication. For example, let's take Saraswati, for example. Some health related problem happens in Saraswati. The hostel council there will provide a solution to that. Right now, the other secretaries of the hostels will not be prepared for something like that, and we do not have a channel for that either. But once the secretary informs this to the task force, the entire task force who will be handling the monitoring part for the entire hostel zone will be aware about it, and so that the remaining HSSs and the MMCC course and CMJFS course can be ready for something that might happen in the future. Second thing is about even though this duty part is there, the HSSs right now do not have any record of the health concerns and all. I mean, if you had talked to the HSS, you know that the role of HSS is a bit confusing at the moment because the HSS is an evolved form of the mess secretary that was there earlier. Right, so the HSS is actually part of it, but he's unaware of this because of the previous things. But we are going to bring this change. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to pass it through the SLC. Cool.
The HHS.
Your first follow-up.
Yeah, this is the first follow-up. The HHS is going to be online. So how effective would they be in ensuring this?
Pardon? Did you mean the HHS is fine?
No, it's not necessary that the HHS is on campus. So how effective would they be if they were online, like in the sense that they were not staying on campus? How effective would they be in ensuring what you say they will ensure?
I mean, sorry, I don't understand the question. Like, what do you mean the HSS? Are you saying that
Maybe
when the
let me
HSS
just
goes home for
explain.
a vacation or something? Yeah.
Let me explain. I think she's referring to the point that HHS, like for example, you are staying at your home, I suppose, right? So you will be acting online in a sense. Similarly, HHS will also be at their home, but they'll be acting online.
Okay, so she's talking about the pandemic situation.
Yeah.
Isn't the task force pandemic?
So she's talking about the pandemic or the situation when we are all in campus and HHS goes home. All right, so in the pandemic situation, that is right now, immediately after the tenure, we do not have an HHS because the elections are not happening. This is why if you had talked to the HS, we would have told you that the Dean's Committee has passed something called as a virtual secretary who will be responsible for all this. So till we all come back to the hostels and HHS comes forward, this is thing. My tenure is going to be an entire year. So the central task force is not just one thing that I'm going to do immediately. It's something for the entire future.
So my last follow-up to it is the central task force just a glorified WhatsApp group to enable communication? Because I don't see substance in it to make a manifesto point.
Well, if you had an institute has been a glory. So what's the WhatsApp group for the entire year? So I don't understand what you mean by that question. It's about people working together. WhatsApp group is an efficient method of communication. That's all.
Okay, both your follow-ups are done. And first, you can ask your question.
Sure. So the second question, okay, fine. The learning curve of a CMGFS team member is the combined skill set he or she acquires after working. For example, vendor scouting, feedback analysis, spreading awareness toward the centers, and even design. But your idea, despite it being actually a point that a core can put in a CMGFS core app, you are basically reducing the learning curve of a person in CMGFS coordinator. And I would like to ask you why, how does this complement a cooperative team in the long run?
So I believe,
Because you are you get the question, right? Should I repeat?
yeah, I get the question. Can I answer? No, I
Yeah.
get the question. So I believe that the comprehensive learning that the team gets is from the feedback collecting that the team does and interacting with the vendor and the student. And I feel that if people were driven to focus on groups, they would have much more to show in that specific domain rather than a little bit in all these domains. And this would also help the team function so much more efficiently. And not to mention the fact that even though we say that everyone does all these work, at the end of the day, there are only a specific set of people that do specific set of things. So I'm just formalizing it and helping them claim these certain skill sets.
So
Yeah.
can I start with my follow-up?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay. So first thing is that it's not about showing the work that you do or something like that. It's about the entire team getting a learning curve. I try to make this better by introducing a data-driven purpose. But this point you do, I'll tell you what is going to happen. Okay, sorry. Should I
No,
make
ask
this
the
as
question.
a question, or can I
Can you
explain
ask?
why I'm asking such a question?
No, it's your fault. Just ask a follow-up question.
Okay, fine. So basically, if you'd all right, fine. Because what you said is actually wrong. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the truth. If you
And first, you're stuck.
do
We
this,
cannot hear what you're saying.
I'm sorry.
We were not able to hear your question.
they
Can
will
you just
not.
repeat it?
Audible now?
Yeah, you're audible now.
Hello.
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, this is it. I mean, did you actually mean to put this point? Because okay, fine. The follow-up is very simple. Is this actually a manifesto point?
Yes, I feel it is because CMGFS team is an integral part of the HASsphere and it has so much to contribute in the HASsphere. And its functioning is very important. So I feel that a point that helps increase the efficiency of the CMGFS team is definitely a manifesto.
Okay, you have a second follow-up.
Okay, can you tell me one team in? Yeah, can you tell me one team in Insti where the work is divided and there's a very good bonding? I mean, you would have been doing various other credentials, right? And in every point, everywhere, it's all about bringing more communication between the team, right? So how is this going to affect the communication between the coordinators in the team?
Correct. There's a slight miscommunication or misinterpretation of my ideas here. So there will be common tasks for the team as well, that is collecting feedback and the usual assigning students to areas like, zones of facilities will continue to happen. So that bonding will still continue. The only thing I'm
No,
No,
one second. You had mentioned that feedback analysis is
your
separate.
follow-ups are done. Why did you interrupt?
No, this is not a follow-up. She
collecting
had mentioned
feedback,
that feedback
not feedback
analysis will be a
analysis. I'm just talking
No,
right
no,
now.
I'm not asking a follow-up. Just a
You're
small
not the
correction
one,
to what she
so-
said. In the feasibility
Dude,
report,
you
she
can't
had.
correct what I said.
Oh, yeah, fine.
What
Yes.
even?
Can both of you stop? Unfast, you're not allowed to interrupt when she's speaking, as I've mentioned already. If you have to issue a correction, you can mention
All right.
in what capacity you are issuing,
Okay,
but even
sure.
if you say that, you will have a conflict of interest because you are the candidate. If anyone wants to issue a correction, that should be a designated member. The Darren who is joining, they can issue a correction in the middle if it's like a blunder, but you should not be interrupting her. I think your follow-ups are done. Chinmay
sure.
can ask her second question.
Can I just, clarify what he asked?
Yeah, I think it was your question time, so you can just say.
He said that this was feedback analysis was a separate team, and I was saying collecting feedback will be done as per zones. So I think that was a miscommunication somehow. All right, my second question. Yeah. Okay, so whenever there is a large influx of students into the campus, be it post vacation or be it the new students joining, these cycle drives have been happening. Cycle drives for sale and service have been happening. How is your manifesto point different from these drives?
Rewording it, what you mean is whenever there is first year students coming in, we'll have cycle drives for them, right? That's what you mean, right?
So I have a clarification here.
Hello, am I audible?
Am I audible?
You can
Yeah.
give the clarification after this question,
Yes,
Darwin.
you're audible.
Just
Okay, fine. Then I'll
complete
just
your
answer.
question and then he can issue a clarification.
Okay, fine. Then I'll just answer it. So this is about conducting a particular drive, especially for the influx. Okay, we do not conduct this drive that you had mentioned. We only have cycle drives for first year hostels, and in Sangamar, normal students can go. They can go, but there has never been a situation where we had 6,000 plus cycles. Every single cycle, almost every single cycle from every hostels going to do the drive at once. This is the first time it's going to happen, and if you do not have a comprehensive plan for this, it's going to be utter chaos, and I do not intend to be to make it an utter chaos. It will be with the utmost care, and people will not be having any waste of time. Yeah.
So in my fresh year, I bought my cycle from one of these camps, and I also got it serviced in my second year from one of these shops. So what do you think happens every vacation when students come back? How do they get it serviced? And why is there not such a big influx during that time? Okay, wait. Okay, yeah.
So what's the question? You understood the question?
Serviced. Yeah, I don't understand the question.
How does increasing time slots?
No, she just repeated the first sentence again. I don't. I mean, explain how
It's
the
a second
service
follow-up. Let
happens.
her ask
So
whatever
I'll
she
take my
wants.
cycle. Okay, fine. So I'll just explain how I'll take a cycle.
No, just
I
wait
take
a
a cycle
second.
from my hostel. If it's yeah. No, she just asked me how to how
No,
we
if
do
you
it
want
now.
to
No,
answer her
I'll just
first
complete it
follow-up,
and
you
she
can
can
just
ask
go
her
ahead.
next follow-up.
Okay. Chinmay,
Yeah, sure. So
will
I'll
you
take a
ask your
cycle
second
from my
follow-up?
hostel. If it's in the riding condition, I'll ride it. Yeah.
Can I ask my second follow-up?
Yeah, this is your second follow-up. Just ask
Yeah.
it.
So this particular condition
Hello?
of huge influx of
Is
students
Chinmay?
and servicing requires increased manpower and
Yeah.
increased time for the drives. I don't see the necessity for time slots as such. Can you explain?
So how many hostels are there in we have 19 hostels. If you say 9,000 cycles, I'm going to take an average time of 45 minutes for service servicing one cycle. So what are the requirements that we need? We need to change the oil chain if it's completely damaged. We'll have probably service the tires because I've seen the condition of my cycle in Insta, it's very bad. And then we'll have a little more other stuff, and overall it's going to take 45 minutes, and I'm going to calculate 45 into 9, let's take 5,000 for them. 5,000 into 45 minutes. And there's no way people can go. So we can see huge crowds in our two small facilities, the facility in front of the Tapti hostel and the SFC space. I mean, I still don't understand why you don't understand this point. Just think about it. 6,000 cycles, 6,000 people with their cycles standing. I mean, it's so obvious, right?
Okay, you can ask your question, your third question.
No, bro, I have a clarification here, so I can go with the clarification.
Oh, by the way, it's fair to say, Darwin, go. Yeah, just go ahead, Darwin.
So about this cycle servicing and this part, one thing I agree is this time there's going to be more and more cycles than the normal expected year. So we are going to have more and more requests, right? So generally, the servicing time, average time for servicing a cycle is not 45 minutes or something. It depends on cycle. So it will vary from 1 to 2 days or so, depends on the requirement, right? So right now, I can foresee that you need an increase in manpower to handle the bigger capacity. And also, like, I don't know, this time slot works. You need an increase in manpower, and you can also work on the metrics of what is the average time for servicing a cycle, right? That also can be reduced based on manpower or extending the cycle count, I guess. So it's also been done previously. We haven't got that kind of a big request. I can foresee a big request now. So you can increase the manpower and also extend the camp time, servicing camp time.
Yeah.
Okay, you can start and fast.
Sure.
Get your
Thank
third question.
All right, my third question is about the crowd tracking point that you had put. So during your T5E interview, you mentioned your method of crowd tracking using bulk area, average data, and all those things. I mean, if you had the system that I'm going to put in place, you will have that data. But right now, I would like to you to explain that crowd tracking method that you had tried to explain during your T5E interview.
Sure. Yeah, so we are going to have people for the first 5 days in all eateries to have a head count of the people entering and of the people exiting, and when maybe if possible note down the time slots, or maybe the students themselves can give an average estimate of the time slots. But of a particular facility, we are going to have an average estimate based on 5 different days. One is maybe a Monday, the other is just before a weekend, and the other one is during a holiday or a weekend. So we are going to have 5 different scenarios, and we are going to have average cost spent and average time spent for these scenarios. And what we are going to do once we have this data is that for every order received, the amount is going to be divided by this average amount, and the number of people existing are going to be projected for that average time.
All right. Yeah. So also, okay. So I like to ask you. Oh, and you had also mentioned something about using mobile app. That also the mobile app, something similar to GPS tracking or something.
No, that was a mistake.
Okay.
That was your first follow-up, by the way. That was a mistake.
Yeah. Okay, sure. And my final follow-up is, why do you need a crowd tracking facility when Insta reopens? I mean, considering the way that you know how Insta plans to take people back in.
Correct. I agree that so we'll need this app even right now, not just during Insta reopens. We'll need this system in place even right now, number one. And number two, even after Insta reopens, we have no idea of the efficiency of the vaccine. So prevention is always better than cure. So this is why we need it.
Okay. Chinmay, your third question.
Oh yeah, sorry, 1 second.
Bro, before here, I'll give a small clarification. So right now in the crowd tracking part, so NC is not working on how to crowd track, which is very difficult as there is difficulty. So we work on the concept of biobubble and clustering, right? We just cluster people such that there is a COVID case, it's just contained in the cluster. So yes, so that's how we work now. So I just wanted to put it in. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Chinmay, you can.
Yeah, regarding your put menu competition among messes, I want to ask you why if it is a competition among caterers, why would they want to let the students fix the menu? Because it's going to have higher cost implications for them, and you hadn't explicitly mentioned whether this was a competition among the caterers or the students, and I couldn't find it in your feasibility report either.
Okay, so exactly mentioned. I was also thinking, why would you take such a stupid assumption? Because what's the point of having a competition between the caterers? It's a competition between the students.
All right. So
I would just like to mention, refrain from using words like stupid, idiot, and all that. Please.
Okay, sorry.
So my first follow-up is now you do understand that the messes are diverse in terms of the menu that they provide. So you do realize that it won't be an even playing ground. Someone from a South mess might be able to eat differently from the menu, or the taste of South mess will be different from the taste of a North mess. So should students eat the food even though they don't like it, and it's not their fault that the caterer has has not done is it their fault that the caterer has made a mistake in not providing them tasty food when there is more wastage?
All right. So the wastage is not exactly related to that. If you know, there's two types of wastage: production wastage and plate wastage. It's the place wastage that the students can control, right? And that is, like you said, related to the type of the menu. For example, if you have liquid type of food, we'll have more wastage. Right. So the idea is to bring about a competition between the North Indian messes, because that will only make sense. And then if it's South Indian, because the main issue is we can classify food into three, right? So fluid, semi-fluid, and solid. And this combination will not be proper if you do a cross North Indian and South Indian. But I believe that once I have the proper data that I was talking about, maybe even I would be able to find solutions to this problem as well.
This wasn't mentioned in your feasibility report either.
Yeah, so it's fine actually. It's a very
Is it something you just came up with? That's my first follow-up.
That's okay, fine. Yeah, it's not something I came up with right now, because
okay, my second follow-up is I feel that the data-driven system to do this is a bit of an overkill, and the mess caterers already have data. Ozone already has data to the finest detail, that is which variant of which brinjal or potato curry fry is producing more plate wastage or more production wastage. So your point about data collection to from this, it doesn't make sense to me.
So right now is the rainy system which links the number of students that came into the mess for which menu and production wastage all at once. Can you tell me? You are a mess super coordinator, right? So you would know this. We do not.
Why are you asking her a question?
I'm replying. We do not. That's exactly why we need this. Ozone is collecting the wastage regarding production wastage and plate wastage. They know regarding the catering, but we are not linking it with this. The work of the MMCC coordinator will be finding the patterns between the students, the menu, and the wastage. As simple as that.
Okay. Is there some question of dispute over here, and the Has wants to give a clarification?
Yes. So you're again, as like whatever they're talking about data, we have every data about food wastage. Ozone is collecting each and every bit of data about plate waste, production waste, and we also discuss about why it's so in our MMCC meetings. And also that we have a system to identify number of students who are coming inside the mess. But it's the major thing is not implementation is the problem. People don't entirely follow biometrics and things. So that is one thing. So they have to make it implementable. So they have every data in hand. So I think both of them being a super core of MMCC right now, they should have done it this year. Okay, so it's fine. It can be done. So they can click the data and they can do it. Yes.
Yeah, so thank you, Darwin, for saying that. The
Okay, cool.
is completely
No.
and all we need to
Let,
yeah.
Okay, we can. I think Chinmay used your 2 follow-ups, right? Yeah, both of your cross-questioning is over. Now we'll move on to the Executive Council questioning. We have a lot of them joining. It's 8:50ish now. We'll do it until 9:30, and at 9:30 we'll move to the audience questioning. So, Darwin, the floor is yours.
Yes. So initially we'll go with general questions. So whoever can start answering, right? So just so the first question is, so we have this mess allocation committee, right? So where this committee decide which guy has to, the algorithms we talk about, the mess, how people has to be get allotted, and HAs also does the swapping of messes and all, right? Right. So who is the chairperson of this mess committee, mess allocation committee? Who is the chairperson of this mess allocation committee?
Vice Chairman of CCW office.
Okay. Chinmay?
I believe it is the vice chairman of CCW, but I'm not very sure.
So you're the chairperson is HAS. So Josh Leffer secretary is the chairperson of this mess allocation committee. So you guys will be entirely doing the allocation and all those things. So this is the first question. Right. Yeah. We'll go for the second question. Right. So right now, how many hostels are there in NST?
19.
In mind. Okay, based on what assumption is 19? Did you consider Mandakini?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So
Darwin, you're not audible.
Darwin, you're not audible. In the meantime, both of you can count the hostels by naming it yourselves and decide if it's 90.
Or 18.
Okay, maybe along similar lines, I'll ask another question that I noticed. So, Anfas, can you spell Saraswati?
SRASWATI.
Yeah, what did you write in your manifesto?
Have I added THI?
No, there was a Y in place of I. Same for Chinmay as well. Can you name Sharavati?
SHARAVATI.
Isn't there a H at the end?
Oh yeah.
No, there's no H. H is like a South Indian thing.
Okay. How do both of you who misspelled your hostel names and have doubts about the number of hostels plan to be hostel affairs secretaries?
Yeah, because the hostel affairs secretaries don't do this job. They are more focused on the functioning of the mess and the facilities and the students' welfare.
I'll just learn what is the actual number of hostels and the spelling, and I won't make the mistake ever again.
Great. Is Darwin back? If Darwin is not here, we can see if other secretaries can ask any questions. Other members of the Executive Council?
Hi, Ramcharan.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Hi, Ramcharan. Would you mind if I ask a question? I just have one question to ask. Yeah, sure. So, hi, Chinmay and Anfas. So,
Hello.
as you guys are aware, like again, there's a cooking club obviously under HAS, but there's also a club under Sangam called Lifestyle Club. And last year we've made a small tweak where lifestyle would be handling both the the fashion and modeling part of it, and also the food part of it, like exotic recipes, etc. So how do you plan on making a distinction between the cooking club under Has and under Sangam, and where can they collaborate according to you? Because it's always a debatable thing. There's no hard and fast rule. So how do you want to create that split?
Sure. So can I begin?
Go first. All right, go ahead, Anfas.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Chinmay. Thank you. So this is actually a big problem that's been there for a while, and this is clearly because we are not dividing the boundaries properly. So I believe that in my part of my food sock, I'll talk to the aspiring culture candidate, and I've also talked to the event score. So they have told me that a proper link between the lid sock, like the foot sock can be a subvertical of the lid sock, and when we make all these rule books, it'll be clearly distinct that who should handle what part. For example, I came to know that the lifestyle club, and whenever there's a collaboration between the lifestyle club and the cooking club, the lifestyle club takes the public image part, whereas the cooking club takes the on ground part, like the inventory part and talking to the rest people and all those things. So I think just like you did, we will be creating proper guidelines in the beginning itself, so that we do not want any types of clashes in the future. And
just a small dot. I mean, we haven't had any event where we collaborated yet. What you mentioned was a boundary Darwin and I have discussed. So I just wanted to ask, are you fine with us taking over the entire publicity part while you guys just help us with the setting up of utensils and maintenance of, abidance to all the rules, etc.? Or what is it? Do you have a distinction there, or are you fine with us taking over the publicity part?
So the publicity part, I have certain concerns. For example, last year when we were talking, I was told that the cooking club logo was not allowed to be put on it. So that kind of problems and all we'll have to fine tune. But yes, if they are going to do the cooking club part since the HS is still here, I'm pretty fine with the publicity part, because at the end of the day, it's all about celebrating food. For the food sock. So when we have people who are willing to do some work from their side, it's fine. But if there is a situation which I can foresee where the lifestyle club is not performing up to the mark, or the cooking club is not performing up to the mark, then we'll have to rearrange, or it will all depend upon the team, right? So we'll have to.
Got it. Chinmay, your answer.
Yeah, so I believe Litsock and Sarang is where we draw the line for cooking for Sangam's Lifestyle Club, and our CMJFS cooking club will have events of its own. And I think workshops is where they can effectively collaborate and cater to a much larger audience.
No. Sarang has always been an established thing. So Sarang, I think classically, HS has been fine with us having food events. We just ensure that the rules are being abided by. I just want to know, during Sangam specifically, Anfas had a Litsock point. Do you have a similar point? I don't think so, right?
No,
okay. Yeah. So
I
forget
believe
Litsock.
that we should focus on workshops and cooking competitions by the cooking club separately than combining it with lifestyle.
Okay. So in that case, where does it leave scope for lifestyle to do anything during the year?
Correct. I said workshops, right? We can collaborate for workshops.
All right. And then, apart from workshops, what about the online presence, or parts of the lifestyle cooking events where there is not explicit cooking being done on ground? Maybe it's just a home done thing that they're sharing on Instagram, or any competitions where, let's say, quizzes or something. So who do you want to take that up?
I believe lifestyle has much more scope, so I would appreciate it if it was left to the cooking club. But
all right.
Free country.
Here I have one basic question. Why cooking club is under HA sphere? Why not in Culture sphere when they have a very big outreach and things?
I will go first.
Shall I? Okay.
I will go first. So it's because cooking has to be done in the messes. You can't do it you need to find a proper mess space and safety concerns. So all this infrastructure comes under the Hostel Affairs Secretary, which is why cooking club is under the Hostel Affairs Secretary.
Anfas?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the hostel affairs secretary will be more. I mean, the HSL is more equipped to do something like that. We'll be aware of all the protocols when it comes to safety or fire hazard or health concerns or all those things. For example, to conduct an eating competition itself, we'll need to have a lot of things feasibility done. For example, if you are going to have an eating competition, what will happen if a health choking hazard comes? What will happen if a safety something happens? So all these things, I think the HSL is more equipped to do.
Yes, cool. So we'll go with the next question. So I got cut in between this hostel part, number of hostels, right? So tell me the count.
And then we will have to spell out hostel names.
Okay. So right now we have virtual allocation coming up, and next year accommodation coming up. Students rising a problem. So are you guys planned enough to do the accommodation for next year? So what are the difficulties you can foresee in those things?
So, can I begin?
Sure.
I mean, of course, we'll be the accommodation committee will be the one who will be making those decisions. But yeah, as you said, we have various issues. First thing was one of the questions that assembled in the T5E, that is about shared room concern. But when I think that is not a problem because of the vaccination. And secondly, I think the problem would be about the intake of MTech and MS people throughout the year. So we'll be needing to give them also allocation. And then thirdly, one of the problem might be the luggage, but I think that can also be addressed by asking people to vacate on time, so that we'll have enough rooms remaining. I mean, most of the students' luggage are still there in their dump rooms and all those things. For some rooms and all won't be there, so we'll be having to get intensive help from each council to do that. And I think other than that, we'll also be having to abide by the whatever the rules and guidance that the UGC will be giving us. I mean, basically, we'll have to follow all this. The main reason why I do not have a plan right now is because we will be having to abide by whatever rules that UGC gives when we are bringing them back. So it will completely depend on that the guidelines from UGC. So it's better to not have a plan right now. But if it's possible to align it with the number of rooms, like the way you are doing the virtual allocation, it will be amazing, and it's something that I really want to do, because after doing this, the second year people can now participate in Litsoc, Textalk, or all those kind of things. So I think the virtual allocation is a very amazing move from your side.
So I agree with a few points that Anfas said regarding the luggage and all. We've sent packed stuff to our graduates, and adding to that, what I believe would be a problem would be mapping of hostels to where these people go, like departments or CRC. Where does the interaction happen? How is the bio bubble maintained? And yeah, I think that's what I have to add to what Anfas has said.
Okay, cool. So coming to the next question. So in T5 interview, you guys were asked about the current situation of mess and how it can be solved in terms of, because the first question is the menu before the lockdown, is it same than what is being followed right now inside NCT? Is it same or not?
No,
right? So why it's not same? Why it's not the same?
Because you gave a new thing, like there was another process where you had new people, like it wasn't a completely new process, right? We had some new caterers come and report.
No, can I go? I think, okay, my belief is that answer is wrong. I know that this happened because there wasn't enough strength in NCT, and so we had to cater to the current residents who are a mix of both South Indian and North Indian, which is why we had to go with a combined menu, which was more diverse, but it had more varieties. Say you have 3 curries usually in your mess menu. So this menu had 4 curries, and which is why the cost increased.
Adding to that, we also had transportation constraints because of COVID lockdown.
Okay, so you guys only the menu affected the cost. That's what your answer is, right? Both of you.
No,
No,
that's not. The
obviously not.
transportation,
No.
the transportation part, the menu, the entire market was affected, right?
Okay.
And like she mentioned, the number of students also.
No, there is another point, that is the caterers had to follow social distancing norms. So instead of one caterer had to serve in 2 dining halls. So the cleaning cost and the staff, yeah. So because 2 dining halls require more staff, so that was also there. And the caterers were also complaining about no availability of vegetables, or so they were complaining about raised prices, which is why they were also pushing for they were quoting higher using all these excuses.
Yes. So your both of your answer and T5 was, so you need a strong MMCC team such that you can make a menu better and the cost better, right? So both
Once
of you
again,
are part
No,
of.
that wasn't my answer.
yeah. Once again,
That
their
wasn't-
question. Once again, Darwin. So their question was not about how I would have addressed that problem that came. A question was how I will address it in the future. So just making that clarification.
Yeah, tomorrow is the future, right? Once you become the ass of the next month, so still this problem is existing, right? The menu part and cost part is still existing. So do you think you can make any change on that, right? You can make the menu much more with the same cost, or can you think you can reduce the cost? Can you think you can change that? And if yes, do you have any plan of action for that?
I believe we can try, but I doubt whether we will have satisfactory results. And my answer to the T5E question was that I would increase competition among caterers by giving them a fixed set of students, and maybe 10% of the fixed set of students will be kept floating, and they would be allotted to the better caterer, or so that the competition stays alive. I get more people, I get more revenue. So I want to try do better.
And who will decide that 10%? Who will be that particular 10% in that? I mean, are you taking the liberty to choose a mess for the 10% that you like?
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
see, just tell your plan of action. So she's saying something. Tell your plan of action. What do you have?
Yeah, so basically the same thing. I'll try to negotiate with the caterer. I mean, I came to know that when the particular thing happened, we had 145, we have 175 and all being quoted, and you were able to negotiate with the particular caterer and get 145 quoted. Same thing will be done from my side also. We'll try to them, and I'll also try to get more caterers, because I've seen this pattern where we have all these mess caterers still working as a team. So that I mean, I'm sure that you know that.
What is the current price?
Yeah.
What is the current price for the menu? What is the current price that students are paying?
135.
Chinmay.
137.
It's
Yeah, I think
134. Okay. So yes. Okay. So you guys, while negotiating, right? So it's something we have given a work order. That's what I'm saying. If you negotiate on all those things, will you be able to make the menu better, or will you be able to reduce the price? Will you be able to do anything? And
You won't be able to
you
do
can
anything.
foresee any possibilities of it, of you doing, right? Because it's still the extent. This is the one of the big problem that I get mails every day. Right.
So this varies from time to time, right? The seasonal availability of vegetables also, decides what curries will be available for how much price. So I think that is something very dynamic, and we can't give a fixed answer for all of our tenure. But I definitely think there's scope for working around, however little it might be.
So my answer is that I find just as I mentioned earlier, so I found this trend that all the caterers in our institute were buying vegetables from the same vendor. So the vegetables that were being available here were from that same vendor. So the main issue that I saw here was the caterers are using this as an excuse, because if they're getting from the same vendor, they can everybody together can say that we do not have this set of vegetables and all. So I would like to do a proper research on the market in Chennai to find out whether the numbers they're quoting is proper or not. But then at the end of the day, it's all about us negotiating. And like Chinmay had mentioned, the the market, the rate
Okay,
of the
fine,
stuff
fine,
in the
fine. Let's
market.
move on. Let's move on.
But it's all depending on us, I guess. I mean, I don't think the MMCC team or anybody will have that much knowledge as the HS when it comes to all these things. So yes, we'll have to put more effort from our personal side to fix this as well problem.
Okay, so throughout this years, there was lot of requests about our pricing model of MES, right? So there was different pricing models which were being suggested, and even during this pandemic, lot of pricing models were suggested by students itself and to us, right? So do you think the current pricing model is fine, or you people is going to make some changes to the pricing model? Do you think, first, it's a yes or no question. Do you think the current pricing model is fine or not? It's yes or no. That's all. I want yes or no.
Can I get a clarification? What do you
Yes.
mean by pricing model?
So, right, we pay 107 per day.
You mean the not the a la carte model, right?
I mean that we pay
You
107
mean the a la
per
carte
day.
model or not?
Yeah, I'll explain. Yes, I'll give the explanation. So right now we pay 107 per day, right? For whatever the menu it is. So, and people do skip out a lot of meals and all those things and all, right? So here people suggested whenever I eat, I'll pay for it, right? Or a hybrid of these things. So many models in between. First of all, are you aware of different pricing models?
Yes.
You guys are aware, right, of all the pricing models? Yes.
Yes, yes.
So
yes.
in that case,
Yeah.
whatever we are following right now, is it fine or will you make a change? Is it fine? Yes or no?
It
It's
is fine.
Is
Yes.
it? Yes.
So you're not going to take the request of students of pay for what you eat and these things.
But we are the hybrid mess as our follow-up, right?
The hybrid HS model might be our attempt at solving that problem. But yes, as you said, we cannot do that because the price range will be a problem. And second thing is, I do not believe in different students paying different types of money. Like I do not want to bring that kind of a money divide between the students when it comes to food and institute. That's the main thing. Like I want everybody to pay the same amount.
So you guys are fine with the current system. Yes, cool.
Yes.
Okay, so the next part is about CMGFS. Tell me the stakeholders of tender committee.
Okay, so we have the SGS, we have the HS, we have the CMGFS
Tender
chairman.
committee
We
is
have the-
CMGFS, like general facilities I'm talking about, not for the mess. Yes.
Yeah, and we have the DOST. Yeah.
Who is the chairperson of the tender committee?
CMGFS chairman.
Okay, yes. Okay,
I
let
think,
Chinmay answer.
I think the tender committee has a separate chairperson and the
Yeah,
CMGFS
actually, yes, yeah.
chairperson, and the stakeholders are the CMGFS chairman, the estate section, ozone, apart from what he's mentioned already. Estate section, ozone, engineering unit. Yeah,
Our vendors,
and the vendors. Yeah, obviously. How could we forget?
HES. Okay.
Yeah.
So why I asked this
Yes,
was
yeah.
almost every vendor has requested for a price hike in CMGFS, right? And almost everyone's tender period got over, so we are just extended. So do you have any plan of action to control this price hike? Okay. And do you have any plan of action of changing any shops inside Insti? Right? Because in this year, a lot of people have went financially down and all those things. We don't know whether all the vendors are willing to open back, right? So are you aware of this problem? If yes, what are your plan of actions to control the price hike? And do you have any plans to change the vendors?
I believe that the price hike is inevitable, but we can, due to the inflation, there has been huge inflation this year. So we can control it by reaching out to more shops and maybe
Am I audible?
the kind of shops we want, evaluate the kind of shops that we want to have in the institute. For example, say earlier the pasta shop was operating, which was a high-end shop. Maybe we could
Chinmay, I'm not asking that you can change of this, or do you have any definite plans? This shop I'm going to change, or something of that sort. Do you have anything on it? Right.
No,
Any
for
change?
that we need to know what shops tenders are finishing, right?
Okay. So you have no idea about which shops are getting.
We already know that,
No.
right?
Okay, Anfis, so you sounded like you know which shops are tenders are getting over. Do you have any plans of changing any shops? Do you have problem with any shops to change or something?
Yeah. So basically, actually, no. I mean, the type of shops will be the same, and I'm fine if they want extension, we can give, because I mean the Krishna Vilasam is one shop that was not that satisfactory from my end, from the same side. So if you want, we can change that shop, and yeah. Other than that, I think all the 4 shops are fine, and yeah, the chart shop also could be made better. And I'm sure that all these confusions is because we also do not. Yeah.
Yes, chill. Fine. Let's move on. So let's move on to manifestos. Right. So let's start with Chinmay. Okay. So you have this point of COVID-19 safety kits will be made available at discount rates. Right. Can you tell what is your plan for that point?
So I believe there is a need for this because students will be coming back, and obviously they'll be coming back with all these things readily available. But I believe that there will be a need even after they've come back. So if we have these kits like in set up in one of our facility shop, maybe Primart or KK, and if we have them at discounted rates, because these people can talk to mass supplier and they can have a deal with him saying, hey dude.
So, yeah, understood. So basically what you're telling us, you're telling me that you will extend the menu, so the items of Primart to serve COVID safety kits also. Is that what your entire point means? You will make sure that in few places that COVID-19 kits are available.
No, this will definitely happen with or without my interference, but I'm saying that I will ensure that this happens with price reduction, and a significant price reduction at that.
Okay, so you will ensure that that's it. So what if you don't get, what is the surety that you'll get it in a discounted rate? Because whatever the products you're talking about, it's a low cost product, and it's all based on MRPs, right? So generally in IIT itself, we serve on a discounted rate. So that's how our tender works, right? We sit in a tender committee and we discuss, get with a better deal, right? So I think it's a duty of an HAS to make sure COVID-19 is available, right? Kits are available.
No, but I believe that the presence of these will also sensitize the students to the importance of following COVID-19 protocols.
Okay, so let's go to Anfis. Yes, Anfis. So again, you add a point again about this competition between students or caterers. Still, I don't know, because you haven't mentioned in the feasibility report or in manifesto that you will conduct a competition for among messes or students to reduce food wastage. Right. So the question here is, let's say, so you have told here it's among students. So, and you have told that students will decide the menu, right? The question here is how far you can influence the menu, because there is a definite tender structure, right? So tender says that this is the menu structure, right? So how far you can go out of it, right? So if let's say if a particular mess has won that competition, okay, right? How will you make sure that whatever the student is coming up with that menu, it fits under the tender structure?
Yeah. All right. So you know about the make your menu event that happened like some 3 years back, right? So the same process I think I'll be using here also, where we'll be having the caterer to give us a bucket list of items, and then we'll do a small survey for that people, and they can select.
Follow all the tender rules. That's the make your menu concept. Follow the tender structure, menu structure.
Yes, but it will not be. It will be slightly more than the
Slightly
price.
more than that. Right. So you are
Yeah.
telling students to come up with, and you are saying in this concept also, you will go out of tender. You will request caterer, I am going out of tender. That's what you are trying to say here.
Yeah.
So you'll go.
Just for one day.
What if caterer denies?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to convince him, because if you reduce wastage, he's also one of the person who is benefiting from it, right? The amount of, if the wastage is reduced, he'll also be
See.
help,
Yeah. So yeah, I that's all.
I mean,
Different.
it's all,
You'll go out
I
of
understand
tender.
the point. So it's about, yeah, I understand. So it's
Yeah.
about the caterer denying, and I believe that I'll be able to do it proper. Like, I won't let him
Okay,
deny.
so
I mean, it's
coming
not
to the
like an
second
order or
point.
something. It's
Yeah.
about my convincing, right? And I'm
Yeah.
known to be a very convincing person.
Bro, see, so it's fine. You can negotiate requests and all, but you have something in
Yeah.
structure, right? Which you have to follow, basic rules.
Yeah.
Right? Let's leave that. And coming to that same point, you have also mentioned food wastage, right? Here,
Yeah.
when students are competing as an HAs, whatever. What is the most affecting factor in food wastage? It depends entirely depends on caterer's taste and quality, right? Right. So what if one caterer performs badly? Okay, that students will not be benefited. They'll lose this event, right? It's entirely depends on caterer. Like are you forcing students to eat everything, whatever the caterer is putting?
All right, I understand that question. So it's still the same thing, I think, was repeated earlier also. So I cannot force anybody to eat anything. All right. So this is a valid problem, and I think I'll have to find a solution for that as well.
Yeah. So
And I
okay.
think
So,
if I'm able to have a data-driven system, I'll be able to find out this pattern. And yeah.
So data-driven
I mean-
system will come out later. Will come later. Data is different. That's your separate point. We'll come to that. So do you think there's a conflict of interest here? So it's if caterer, it's entirely
Yeah,
depends on caterer,
from what
and
you
you're telling
mentioned, there
students
is
to
a clear,
compete.
yeah. So from what you said, there is a clear conflict of interest. Yes.
Okay, sure. Okay, so the next question is for Chinmay.
Okay, I just wanted to check one thing. Like the EC counseling, I mean EC questioning will go until 9:30, right?
Oh yes, so other people can start asking. If others have questions, you can ask. Yes.
For sure. I think there are already too much questions posed by Darwin. Fine, I'll just ask a few basic questions. Both of you, question to both of you. Do you know what were the key reasons for the hotspot that happened inside campus in December?
Yeah. So the primary
The mess.
contact was one person who went outside. So from him, it got. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the primary contact went outside and had food from outside, and from him it got spread out in messes.
Okay, Chenmai.
I said the mess earlier.
Okay, fine. Is there a need of SGS in MMCC and CMGFS committee, considering HES is already a student representative present in both the teams?
No, definitely there's a need for SGS in the MMCC and CMGFS teams because the SGS has, I believe, a much bigger picture of the institute and a much wider reach. So I believe that his involvement in these teams will help he will be able to guide us in terms of the big picture view.
So what I
Okay.
think is, I've also been thinking about this question for a while. So I've been like the Sati and Mitra and all the teams that come under SGS is responsible for the mental health and all those kind concerns in institute, right? And I believe that there is a firm relation between the mental health, the physical health, the food, their accommodation in hostels, like all those things. So I think SGS being part of this mess makes a lot more sense.
Okay, I just have two more questions. The second last one being, just listen carefully. So you can consider this as a hypothetical situation, which might have a few correlation with the current circumstances, but I would suggest take it as hypothetical. Suppose many colleges in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, and even entire India have reopened for 50 to 60% capacity of the hostel capacity. But our campus is not opening. Again, assuming hypothetically that the administration and the authorities there are being conservative because they don't want to risk anything. They don't want even a single COVID positive case on campus. So that's why they are not opening.
Yeah.
Students are asking both of you, I mean, supposing you are there, that why we are not opening, we want to open. Now, what would be your approach to solve this situation?
Okay, so from what I understood from talking to the dean and all, so what you said is extremely correct. That admin is scared. So the main reason I do not have much COVID-related points in my manifesto is because the dean told me that they have tried almost everything that is possible. They have been sitting for 4 or 5 hours in meetings almost like every day to try to solve this problem, and they were not able to get the people to follow all these protocols and restrictions even when the count is 800. So and then when the count was when that spike happened, 200 out of it, few students were extremely critical, and I do not believe that the health or life of a student is actually worth our institute life. So I would say that but then the dean's committee I believe that it was told that we'll be given vaccinations and will be brought back early, primarily because of the thing that institute do not want to follow any more restrictions and all those things.
Okay, Chinmay.
Can you repeat the question? My Anfa's answers might have biased. So can you repeat the question?
Okay, fine. I'll just repeat then. Suppose many colleges in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, and entire country have reopened to about 50 to 60% of the hostel capacities, but our campus is still not
Correct, correct.
reopening. They are
Yeah,
just
I am. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. So I will try to see if the admin is I believe the admin has done all it could. So I will see there is very slight chance of this, but I will see if there has been any room left for something to be done. If there is, I will try doing that to get people back. But most likely that there isn't. So what I will try to do is I will try to create more room for virtual interactions, and I will try to make virtual interactions more lively and more like your hostel experiences, obviously in collaboration with SGS and LitSex for this purpose, because the main problem right now without hostels is the interaction and the bonding that we have a good system of seniors and friend circles, like how we bond. So all this, if we can try replace it virtually, I believe it will be some consolation, a small consolation to the students.
fine, fine. I just have last one. Considering you both have held an elected position in your history life till now, can you just list one achievement, a unique one, achievement or any accomplishment that you are proud of that you took during your time of that elected position?
Sure.
Can I start off, because this is actually a kind of a proud moment.
Sure, sure.
So when I was a Kaveri General Secretary, we had a budget crunch. In place of 9,37,125, I was given 1,568 rupees as a hostel budget. And this was a big problem because I had done a lot of research, and I wanted to, I had big promises that when I became a secretary, I said that I'll conduct a Diwali's foods. I'll give Diwali food the next day after I become a secretary and all. But with 1,500 students and 1,500 rupees and 729 rupees, I could give something with 2 rupees for one kid. And then what I did was, I took about 1 month for me to understand where the money went. And what I did was kind of interesting. So I found out some bills. Basically, some work that was supposed to be over in the semester before me was delayed, and they got over in my tenure. And because of this, they were paid with our money, and the money that was supposed to be paid to them went to corpus. So I found all these bills with their dates. I had marked it. I made a small file. I sat together, and that's how I got like 1,07,000 rupees. And similarly, a few more events, like I restructured a particular debt plan. We were supposed to pay it back in 3 years. I pleaded the CCW and told him that told him that this debt was for monkey meshes and dustbins, which will stay for more than 3 years. So I saved 3 lakhs, and at the end of the day, I was able to get a 7 lakh budget. And in our year in Kaveri, we had everything. We had all the events that we wouldn't have had. And this experience is something that got me to introduce a homing committee as well. So I'm really proud of solving the Kaveri financial crisis. This will be the feather in my crown, if you ask me. Yeah.
Fine. Okay, Chinmay.
So during my tenure as a hostel legislator, we started off with 4 council members, that is me and 3 others. 3 council positions were empty. So we started off with such a council, and I called for more applications, and so we collectively conducted the hostel night, which was amazing according to the feedback received by my batchmates. So that was one proud moment, and I've also made the hostel rule book, and also the most proud thing, the one thing that I'm most proud of is that I was advocating for my hostel residents regarding the winter room allocation. So you do realize that whenever you come back to campus after vacation, there's someone else staying in your room, and he says that there's someone else staying in his room. So it's a chain reaction, and all your rooms get blocked, and you can't settle in for at least 2 days. So what I did was I tried to make sure that there was, of the people staying back, there was one person staying in his own room, and the rest could share along with him, so that there is space when people come to rearrange themselves. So whether it happened or not, what differences were there was a different thing. But I believe that going above and beyond my call of duty to look after the students' welfare, and having the students stand behind me, when the admin might have been against me, was a really proud moment, because that mail thread was amazing. The support I had gotten from my seniors was unbelievable. It made me overwhelmed.
Okay.
Fine.
Are you done?
Guys, just one last question, if you don't mind. Very small question.
Yeah, you can ask a question. I'll just ask them. So candidates, is it fine if we extend the soapbox to 10:30, 10:45? Okay. So we'll do executive council for 10 more minutes. You guys can ask, and then we'll go to audience and come back to executive again.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Ramcharan. So this is a question I have along with IR secretary. So once I ask the question, he can actually take over because he knows more details. So regarding Chinmay's point, you had a point about like building a system to funnel IR funds through Joy of Giving portal towards making hostel improvements. Now, from my experience, it's not so easy to raise funds through Joy of Giving portal unless you have a solid campaign, plus you have like a target publicity in mind. Because we tried to raise funds for Saran, and we've mailed at least 200 to 300 people separately, got like very little amount. Most of the money came from only 2 or 3 donors, which was by luck. So what is your exact campaign idea, and you're planning to raise enough funds to build a hostel infrastructure altogether?
So the hostel secretaries will definitely, not the hostel secretaries, the hostel residents will know people that have passed out. They'll know their seniors, so they will contact them to reach out for other seniors that have passed out, and they will call for a student team from the hostel residents. I believe the hostel residents will definitely be enthusiastic when it comes to infrastructure related stuff, because there is actually tangible results that we can see, no matter how long term. So I believe the resources for this campaign can be sourced from the hostel residents themselves.
Yeah, I mean, just a little more structured, because I don't think the vague description would help build a strong campaign. Have you thought out like a?
Also, could I join in about one clarification? Like, I have a doubt.
I think Ramcharan is.
I mean,
Ramcharan, is it fine if he
What do you
also?
want to?
yeah.
No.
So I mean, yeah.
No, what do you want to say, Anfas?
Like, I just wanted to know what he meant by campaign. Like, keep it flowing is also a campaign. Like, all these things are being done already. So, like,
Okay.
what is he expecting? I mean, I just wanted to know. I mean, all of these things are being done by the IAS secretary already.
Yeah.
The keep
You
it
can
flowing
elaborate.
is campaign. There's a student team under the IAS secretary who already contacts the alumni from each hostels.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the Sujata ma'am, when I talked to Sujata ma'am from development office, they told me that the proposals are already being made. They consult the council from each hostels, and the council, for example, now just few
Okay,
days.
you need a clarification from
Yeah.
Vishnu Sanket, right? Yeah, Vishnu Sanket, you can just give your clarification. So Anfas does not understand what you expect.
Yeah, I mean,
so maybe
I'm not entirely sure if the question is for me or Chinmay, because I mean, if you're starting a new
Yeah, like, I mean,
portal,
if you're looking at something.
go on. Yeah,
Ramcharan, can I step in?
Ranganathan, I think it's better if you take over.
Chinmay, can you just
Yeah, go ahead.
spend 1 minute telling what your exact plan is? Like, how will it start? Which hostels will be involved? What will happen in the Joy of Giving portal, and what happens once you get the funds? Just
So
keep it really quick and short, okay?
yeah, will do. So the plan is to have a separate section called hostels in the Joy of Giving portal, and we will the hostel council will draft a plan for whatever they need, and a proper plan. And
Which hostel is it?
have
Will it come
to
from all
raise-
the hostels? Sorry to interrupt
Sorry?
you, but will this come from all the hostels?
No, hostel specific.
So each hostel will send a proposal.
Depending on their need. If they
But every hostel would want to send a proposal technically, right?
sorry,
But every hostel would ideally want to send a proposal if it's possible.
it would
Ideal
have
scenario.
a provision too.
Okay, cool. Continue.
So no, again, it will have to prioritize based on the need and its resources, how well it can pitch to these people. So they will set up a fundraiser, and this will be publicized, and the hostel council will definitely ask for help from the IAR council, and the hostel affairs secretary and the IAR secretary will make sure that the process is streamlined, and that once the sufficient funds are raised, the funds are being utilized for their initial purpose.
Again, a small doubt. Again, repeating my question. I honestly do not think a simple or a vague idea like that would raise enough money. We've done like what we thought was decent planning and raised only 60K for Sarang. So do you think the amount of planning for the campaign you have is enough to raise like at least a couple of lakhs of rupees for an initiative?
No, that depends on the initiative, and so currently there are keep it flowing funds, but we don't know how they are being used. Like, we don't have the breakup of the details of what they're being used. Obviously, direction is being taken from the hostel council, but what I meant to
I'm sorry, I have to stop you here. That is a major blunder, because every time keep it when funds are used, the hostel council is being properly consulted.
Exactly.
We have a group where people from the particular hostel are there. We have vendors, and once the vendors make a pitch, they present it to the people in the hostel council, and only if the students, that is the general secretary and all those people, give an approval, only then is the plan initiated. We have done this for Goda right now. That is the procedure which will be followed for all the hostels. So
Ganga
that's
too, right?
all right.
okay. But apart from that, like what Vishnu is asking, do you know how many projects are currently active on the Joy of Giving portal?
Yes, regarding the hostels, I think around 3 or
Totally, how many projects are active?
sorry,
Totally, how many projects are active on the portal?
I am not sure.
Just a ballpark number, because that depends on how much your projects will get funded, right?
Oh, total. Oh, yeah. Okay, totally there are a lot. Okay, yeah. Around more than 40 probably.
There are 800 projects.
Okay.
So like Vishnu said, it's going to be a mammoth task to get funding for specific hostels. And without a very solid targeted campaign plan, it's going to be difficult. And just one final clarification, where will the HAS be involved in this? I understand that the hostel council sent in the proposals. The INDR secretary will handle the part with the office.
The HAS will be responsible for setting up all the team structure or formalizing. The channel will be set up via HAS, right?
But we already have a proper proposal template document. You just have to fill the template document with the proper details, send it to the INDR secretary who will work with the office. So where does the HAS come in? That's one thing which I'm unsure about still.
No, I believe the HAS comes in when there isn't sufficient amount of funds being raised this year. The next year, the next year's HAS will look at this and will make sure to guide the next year's hostel council to implement this.
Okay, so predominantly to improve the fundraising quality. Is that cool? Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, also just like a small add on to that question. Again, IIS office sends sends a mail to all the alumni database they have. And let's say in a case where that isn't enough, do you have any plans to raise specific, or like do you have any plans for specific communication channels that will target some set of people a little more? Because IR office would send a mail to everyone, and say you aren't satisfied, do you have any plans for contacting alumni through your own channel or like in a targeted manner?
No.
Also, like, can I ask something like, does she need
You're
to
not
have
allowed
such a thing? I mean,
See,
Sangeet, do you think she
no,
needs?
unfortunately, you're not allowed to. You had your cross questioning. You could have asked them.
Okay,
This
fine.
is not avenue for that. So, Vishnu, do you have any more questions?
Yeah.
No, I'll just clarify what he asked with the sentence. So basically, I mean, do you need such a thing? I mean, there's not requirement per se, but like, I don't think you can just get a.
I believe there is a great
Yeah.
need thing because see, keep it flowing will only be sufficient to renovate the hostels, but we might need stuff like air cooler.
Again, I'll just answer it in short. So, see, first there is a need definitely because generic publicity would not target the right amount of audience.
Yeah.
Bulk of the money would come from only those 2-3 people who are extremely dedicated to that hostel project. So, if you have a targeted publicity, then you can target those few people and then make sure like they're contributing to their best.
And I'll also confirm that we do need this. The keep it flowing funds, like she correctly mentioned, will not last forever, and for future long-term initiatives, you would need some other funding source.
Okay. We'll do one last executive council questioning and then we'll go to audience. Does anybody from executive council have a question?
Yeah. I have a question.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a couple.
Do one. No, you do one. We'll go to audience and we'll definitely come back to.
So I have a lot of follow-ups on the same thing because I think it all revolves around the similar topic.
Okay, go ahead.
Just give me, it's very quick. I mean, keep your answers crisp. I think then it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, firstly, I think I'll just address the elephant in the room. We have an ongoing pandemic called COVID-19. And somehow neither of your manifestos, I think Chinmay's refers to some COVID masks and everything. But on an overall front, other than the task force that already exists, none of you have any points related to how you're going to handle the situation. Say the entire semester, the next semester is online, considering that right now there are ongoing rising cases. So you have, as Hostel Affairs Secretary, I think Chinmay, you mentioned about how you wanted to connect people and everything, right? Like even virtually, but why does your manifesto not reflect a single thing? So I would like to know, why is COVID-19 not even taken into account in either of your manifestos? It's like not even like 5% of your manifesto.
Because
yeah, so
I'll just go.
Yeah, okay, Chinmay, you go.
Because I believe the has more scope in an on ground and like on the go work rather than that, because there you will need to collaborate with like I said, right, when I said the virtual space, you'll need to collaborate with the SGS and the LitSec, and we haven't had the time to sit and formalize these plans, and also the next semester might be online, I agree, but Insti plans to call back students, and I believe the vaccinations are going to open up. So we will be calling back students in a phased manner. So there will still be, so we will be mostly involved with what's happening on campus, and there are so many issues of what's happening on campus that you can't anticipate. So the nature of the issues as such is something you can't foresee, and we've had Darwin's tenure teach us something, but I definitely don't think we've exhausted all kinds of things we might encounter, which is why
All right.
uncertain.
So
I haven't.
from my side,
Anfal,
could I begin?
yeah, just a second. I just want to ask Chinmay one thing. You said that you are not certain of how the next tenure is going to look like and the phase manner and everything. I think we all thought of that about this semester as well. You yourself said you are not sure of how it will look like. So why does your thing not reflect even 1 point? So that is firstly. The second thing being, even if it is virtual, then what is the hash we are going to do? I understand the infrastructural stuff, but a lot is already happening. Pushing your proposal through when so many things are happening is very difficult. I think I know that from experience. So will the hash not do anything except for those couple of people on campus? Okay, Anfaz, I think you can finish and then maybe Chinmay can answer.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, having conducted a COVID hackathon myself, I had a set of solutions that I wanted to propose. So, when I went with those proposals to the dean told me that, so we have tried all these things. Darwin himself, they've created these bubble mechanisms, and they were too conservative. They told me that please do not, the CCW said, and I quote, please do not involve any COVID related points. We do not want to have any of those, though will not be implemented. They told me outright. And I asked us, but then as a secretary, I'll have to do some things. I have to make sure all these things. What if the tenure becomes online? And they told me their plan was, they said that even though it was uncertain, they said that we'll be bringing back students by vaccination. And if that is done, they will not be restricting people this much. This is one particular reason why I did not want to put on any of the manifesto point, especially because the admin told me that. Second thing would be about what if the tenure becomes online. I mean, is that a question directed to me as well or just in me?
Yeah, sure. You can also go ahead, I guess.
Okay, so if the tenure becomes online, so I had a foot sock point in which I could conduct some events online at least. And if the tenure becomes online, I'll still have to continue what Darwin has been doing. His dynamic task force is basically a team that he built up from scratch. And he had also told me about the difficulties that he had with that team, because the incentive for people to work in that team and all those things. So it's something that will again involve me helping the students who is there right in campus, and I will be following up on everything that the dean has done till now. So that will be my one plan. And then the virtual connection may, so I also believe the same thing. I believe that everything begins in hostels, technical culture, sports culture, whatever culture, it begins in hostel. But then with the current scope of an HAS, we do not have any say in any of those. But if the current secretaries wanted any kind of help from my side, I'll be willing to do that. Just like how Darwin is going to do the virtual allocation. If a virtual allocation is going to help students participate in LitSoc and TechSoc, I will do at what I can do maximum to make sure that students get an hostel allocated. And I'll also try to make sure that this allocation done in a way that they do not have to change it when they come to Insti based on the situation will be there then. Yeah.
All right.
So
Sorry, Chinmay, go on.
Yeah, so we all know that Mandak was completed because Mandak was Mandak's the process of building Mandak was sped up because there were not too many students in Insti. So I also have a few infrastructure related points in my manifesto, and this will give me an opportunity to finish them and yeah, that's about it. That's all I wanted to say. Go.
One more thing I would like to add about Mandakini Hostel. So when I talked to Dean that, okay, sir, since Mandakini Hostel is going to be done, we'll have a lot of room. So he told me that don't count on that. Even with Mandakini confirmed, we will not have enough seats. And one other thing he told me that they have plans to revamp almost all the hostels. Like once Mandakini is done, they will demolish some other old hostel and they will try to make it big. So again, this constraint is going to be there for at least some 15 years. So I don't think Mandakini Hostel is going to make any immediate problem. Going to solve any big big problem. This is one thing.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll quickly, sorry, again, keep your answer short because then I won't be able to ask a lot.
Yeah.
So, on that note, okay, I'll come back to this part later again. But one thing that I wanted to ask both of you. So you, Chinmay, mentioned about monthly subscriptions and bringing a diet person. So please answer both of them. I'll ask this in one question. Firstly, as per like as much as I understand sports people, everyone different sports have different nutritional requirements. Okay, and suppose a weightlifting person has a lot more like protein intake or etc. Right? Like everyone has very different requirements, and in fact, there are a lot of people on campus who, in general, have a lot of requirements. Right? You cannot make subscription plans catering to 9,000 people because it's a little difficult. So like that is fine if you want to do it. I understand where you're coming from, but why not the existing system of put extra money into your mess card and buy from a regular set of extras? Isn't that better and more efficient for somebody to custom cater their meal? That's question one. Let me just
Correct.
the second question being the diet person for the mess, right? So I feel ki you are trying. Let me just go back to that point 1 second. Right. So you can
Can I
get
come back to the question? I have answers for these, and I just want to
sure,
finish.
sure. Yeah, sure, fine.
Yeah, so there were two reasons for the subscriptions. One, okay, 2 points for the subscription. One, the menu won't be fixed in the sense that if there is enough traction, we will definitely have more variety. That is number one. And number two, the subscriptions were so that the caterer has an estimate of how many people, has a ballpark number. So the problem with the current extras is that they are very perishable, and the current extras, are they adequate supplements to nutrition? I mean, how nutritious are they? I think they cater to the taste buds more than the nutrition. So I believe that there is definitely a need for nutritious extras, and the subscriptions were so that the caterer gets a ballpark figure, and also since he's going to be assured of uh, so much consumption, he's going to give us these extras at a reduced rate.
All right, so just a small follow-up to that. So I think you have thought about it really well from probably the catering side. I wouldn't know. I think Darwin is better there. But just from the students' perspective, because I think I'd understand that for sports.
No, the students, okay, I just wanted to
So,
clarify that the students can also avail these extras one by one, in the sense that they can just go and pay with their ID card and get, but it's just
Exactly.
an advantage that you have a monthly plan for both the caterer and the student.
All right, okay. So moving on, I have a question for Anfas. So
Yeah.
just give me a second. All right.
Drisha, can we do it later? Do you want to ask it now?
I'll just quickly ask it. I think I'll just take a second. I am sure it's not a very long point. So again, you
Okay.
mentioned about how you wanted to, incentivize the CMGFS team. First of all, I didn't understand why both of you had primarily CMGFS points. I think there are two other teams as well. But coming back to CMGFS, so you guys said you want to incentivize these people using data-driven mechanisms so they could do work, right? Substantial work, learn from it and stuff like that. So my point being, what if there is, again, COVID continues and you don't really have so my question is, how will you make your coordinators work? You can make cores work, maybe even super codes to that level because they have some kind of incentive in the POR they hold, right? How are you going to restructure your team, or how are you going to incentivize the coordinators?
Yeah. So basically, it's the same thing that I mentioned earlier. The incentive to a coordinator is always the skills that they learn. Right now, I'll tell you what an experience as a CMJFS or an MCC coord get. We do the vendor scouting, which is not a frequent thing. For example, we had all this HFC shops set up. So this year we did not have the opportunity. None of the coordinators this year got the opportunity to scout for a vendor. Right now we are trying to get a writers cafe model. So that is the. Other than that, we did not get an opportunity to do the vendor scouting. Second thing is student interaction. That's a very good thing. I mean, I personally love that point about the CMJFS team, where you get to talk to random people, get their feedback and all. But still, when we are catering to an amount of 9,000, the coordinators are talking to much lesser amount. Once I bring the data-driven model, I am incentivizing my team by giving them a amazing skill. They will be using data to solve real life problems. I'll give you an
Just
example.
one thing. Sorry, I'm saying ki what if the tenure isn't online? I mean, is online. Then your data-driven system is not as attractive. In fact, it's not. It's non-existent for them as an incentive. So my major problem, honestly, I think a lot of secretaries would agree here, is to get their teams to work in a COVID scenario where you don't have any interaction, you're not talking to them.
Yes.
As a secretary, your primary job is managing people as well. I understand you have personal, things you want to do, but it's managing people. It's a managerial role.
Yeah. So it's about laying these foundations. I mean, once I have this system ready, I will be saving the data. If the students are not there in pandemic, the data-driven system is also something that will not happen. Right, the system will be there. I will be started collecting data. For example, 2 years later down the line, I get some technological idea of using some crazy data analytics tool. I want to do it, but I will not have the data. 2 years down the line, I'm saying, okay, why? Because nobody thought of start collecting this data, documenting them properly, and storing them. I will create that foundations. From the moment I become a secretary, this data will be stored properly. Doesn't matter what, that data will be stored properly. That's something that I want to do, and it will help in the future also.
So in your tenure, your cords won't work, and that's okay. You will do the data collection.
In our tenure, if it's offline, they will definitely work. If it's online, the course will be at home. There's no CMJFS per se, right? I mean, we'll be having the
are you
task force
not
like Darwin saying.
okay? So you will basically restructure the team and not have CMGFS cords. I don't understand the answer. Like, I'm just sorry, just clarify it for me, because my point being, you are not. It's okay what happens 2 years down the line. The problem with cords not working is they will not be effective super cords, and the problem with that is they will not be effective codes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That actually hampers the long term because they have 2 years of zero experience.
Yeah, which is clearly why we will have a CMJFS team. But the problem is their work will be different. For example, I admire the way you used the online mode to come into sports. I mean, I had a very big doubt about how the sports sphere is going to happen in the online sphere. But then your campaign and the Instagram thing got people to do those things. And similarly, Darwin in our side instructed us to have a more interactive Instagram page where we could do all these things. So it's all about I think finding a different angle and doing things. I mean, if I have the constraints, I'll have to do something. There's no sense in having a CMJFS coordinator monitor if they're at home. So they'll be doing something else. They'll be doing something else.
I got that.
So I believe that we can, also, so we've primarily focused on BTechs. So I believe the team can also extend to research scholars, in which case we can have few of our coordinators on ground. Yeah, I also wanted to say something. I forgot.
Okay, we're done, right? Yeah, we'll move on to the audience questioning. We have got a lot of responses today. So what I hope to do is we'll ask questions in the chronological order that we received, but some of them are already covered. So I asked the candidates to be very sharp and answer something in less than 30 seconds if possible, so that we can get through all of these. And in cases where names are mentioned, I'll just call upon you. And if you are in the meeting, you can just turn on your mic and ask. Okay, did you get the format? Good. So first question is to Chinmay. They asked to ask through SEC. Is your delivery point pickup zone just an extension of the CMGFS app, or is it something new?
It's a question towards me.
Chinmay. No, it's to Chinmay.
Okay.
So it is
Keep it
not
short.
just, yeah, all right. So currently the CMGFS app is not in place. So it will be an extension of the current delivery happening right now, long term, and the scope can be increased to all the other facilities, like all the other maybe departmental stores and eateries and technographics.
Okay. Okay. Do you think eating competitions are healthy or unhealthy?
They are. They are not. You're not going to have an eating competition daily, right? Like.
Okay. This question is to Anfas. In the wake of Corona crisis, if you are still going to use POS machines, so the machine where you swipe your card, couldn't the disease transmission readily occur? I think you might have mentioned POS machines somewhere in your manifesto or something. That's why this question came.
I think they would have mentioned biometry, right? Biometry, not POS machines. POS machines do not need touch.
Okay. So yeah, couldn't biometry also increase the
Yeah,
transmission
so
of disease?
we don't need biometry for POS. It's no touch. It's the same system that Insta is following right now.
Okay. This question is to both of you. I think both of you served in MMCC and CMGFS during online, right? As in 2020 to 2021.
I was a coordinator offline as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you are a super card or something in the
Yes.
online tenure? Yes. Okay. So I think both of you were. So how would you say that your experience in being an online coordinator or super coordinator help you do stuff on ground or offline?
So I have an offline experience in MES, and in CMJFS, I do not have an offline experience, but I had a close interaction with all these vendors. This was primarily a personal thing because I was a lot into learning languages and interacting with all these people. So I believe that I have an experience there also, and I had also took proper fundales for a CMJFS coordinator back then, but then I was not able to continue because of multiple PORs. So I have a very good offline background. Yes.
So
Chinmay.
two of my close friends were MMCC and CMGFS squad, so I knew how the team worked, which helped me put a really good app to get selected into both the teams. And I believe the learning you get from the team is the amount is how proactive you are. So I kept asking, my not course, also maybe Darwin also about, hey dude, what work is there? What's new? What's happening? Because I wanted to learn and I was really enthused about the sphere, and that has taught me a lot. I was also the task force. I was also in the task force as an MMCC representative, so I know what issues are happening right now. For example, they want to open Vindhya mess for girls. Okay, so they're deciding on what caterer they want to use. I mean, what caterer they want to call in. So I believe my learning has been great. Even though the tenure has been online, I believe that I learned as much as an offline tenure could offer.
Okay. Do we have Mehboob Ali in the audience?
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah, you can ask your question.
Yeah, hello. I am Mehboob. I am the Kaveri legislator, and in the current SLC, I'm also the chairperson for the Standing Committee for Hostel Affairs. So I have been working with the current HAS to review the work under the present tenure. And one important thing that that is noticeable is that unlike other years, like because of the COVID, HAS if you look at the manifesto points, a large chunk of them were not it was not possible to implement them, and the HAS work was primarily focused on catering to the needs of the present campus residents. So I want you to explain in the light of your manifesto, what initiatives do you have for the current hostelers, how they are gonna help them? Or in other words, like why someone who is in the campus right now, who is like largely dependent on the HAS work in the present scenario, should work for you? It's to both of you. Anyone can.
So you are talking about how we are going to incentivize the current research team, right?
No, what you have in your manifesto, like that's beneficial for them.
So
can you frame your question in a shorter way and just ask it?
Yeah, I think his question is about how we are going to address the problems of the students right now in campus. So I had a lot of conversations with a lot of people inside, and one of the major issue that these people had told me was that they were not getting the mental space because they were not allowed into the common space even inside the hostels. So I asked the admin, so what can we do about this? And the admin told me that the allocation of the rooms, even the bio bubbles that they mentioned, the allocation part was not part of it, because allocation part was done in the early. The bio bubbles were made later. I mean, when we, as Chinmay mentioned, when we were working the task force, I had done the slotting for the messes, like 80 people and all those things, how many people goes into it. That part, there was a big constraint because the people in Kaveri were working in various departments. If all the people working in Kaveri were at the same department, the work was much easier. So this is one issue why the admin did not agree as to, didn't want to even let the hostelers use the common space inside the hostels. My request to the admin was, so let's at least open the grounds inside. The admin doesn't want to take risk, in short. But this what we are going to do is very simple. If the vaccine side happens, we not need any of those. Second thing will, of course, be to make sure that the students follow all these things. But I don't think it's a very feasible idea because students are so stressed. The restrictions are so much, and my big point would be to get these restrictions out as soon as possible. And that is a very admin related thing. So it's not a manifesto point. Any point that I'm not 100% guarantee will not be there in my manifesto. Yeah.
So there was another issue that students were shifted multiple times, due to the uncertainties, with COVID, because we hadn't really planned earlier, the bio bubbles and all, we hadn't planned earlier. So I will make sure that that doesn't happen, in the sense that, no, I will do all in my power to make sure that that doesn't happen, because like I said, COVID, a lot of uncertainties, but we will try to exhaust all possible scenarios when we are working with the admin.
Just a quick follow-up to that. So let me reiterate, like, that the first thing that you will have to deal from day one of your tenure will be the plight of the campus residents right now, from their mess to hostel location and everything. So my question is, like, how do you think you're capable to take up the responsibility? You would have taken some days from the present HAS and all, and you would have seen like what the present structure was, how much workload was there on the HAS. Do you think that is a healthy system in place? How will you go forward on that?
No, definitely not. That is definitely not a healthy system in place, which is why with the task force, the whole responsibility falls on the HAS. But if say we had initiated a grievance committee, the long-term members of this grievance committee would sit and brainstorm. If we had this COVID issue, they would have probably sat and thought about these biobubbles, how we could do social isolation, hostel to mess mapping, and hostel to department mapping, and we could have come up with an accommodation accommodation plan immediately, maybe. So that is one point. Yeah, that is one. Like, okay, never mind.
Okay, you're done, right? Cool. Do we have Hariharan in the chat?
Yeah.
You have posed multiple questions. Just ask one of those.
Yeah, sure. Just one small thing before I ask the question. Chinmay, I just wanted to say that the IIR thing, keep it flowing, is actually much tougher. You have to keep it flowing.
No. You don't need to issue any clarifications because already the Alumni Relations Secretary has spoken about it. You just ask a question.
Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to stress this again, even though it's kind of like been asked a bit before, because this is supposed to be, in my opinion, the central point of this soapbox, but hasn't been mentioned enough. Like, according to the government's plan, by August 2021, we're only going to have about 20% of the population vaccinated yet. So most of the students at that point aren't going to be vaccinated. And yet, most of the soapbox has been as if that we're all vaccinated and we're all back to everything's normal. We're talking about food fest, common open spaces. That really isn't the important thing at the moment, at least. Yeah, that is like points similar to
common open spaces. Can I correct? Common open spaces are infrastructure that would be set up for the students when they return, once they return. So that is
assuming that there is no
I just finished my question. Like, I'm saying that even when students return, that's why I want to mention, even when students return, only 20% of the population is going to be vaccinated if everything goes well. So I just wanted to know, I mean, Anfas said that CCW asked everyone to tread lightly around the around questions regarding COVID. But in your opinion, what would be the significant measures that would be required to be taken, or you think should be taken by working with the admin in hostels? I'm not talking about the mess anymore. We've talked enough about the mess. In hostels, to ensure that students will not be asked to return at any point in time.
No,
Yeah,
I
so
get
the
that.
admin do not want a single student inside the institute who is not vaccinated. That's as simple as
20% of the people are going to be vaccinated by August
yeah.
20.
So institute admin will take
So they're already
responsibility.
getting
And, yeah. So
No,
what I
Hariharan, you don't have follow-ups. So
what
you
the
guys.
dean, yeah, let me
So
answer.
just a second. So you guys understood Hariharan's question, right?
Yeah,
Just
I
go answer.
answered the question. So what the dean had told was they have plans for sourcing the vaccines for IIT students. This is something that they had told me. This is something that the MHRD wants to do for all IITs as well. They will source vaccines for us. They're not waiting for the government to vaccine us and get us in.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
being also, I would also like to add that our Greater Chennai Corporation gives us standard operating procedures, and it is not in our purview to create COVID protocols because the admin himself answers to a higher authority.
Okay, both of you are done, right? Good.
Yep.
Do we have Matthew George in the chat?
Yes.
Yes. Just ask your question.
Yeah. It was supposed to be towards Chinmay. To the answer you gave to Anfas's first question, that is why the open spaces have not been implemented, you replied that this has been something that is going on. So do you admit that this is not a fresh initiative from your part, and this is actually a follow-up from previous aspects?
No, again, it comes to, so was it my idea, original idea? Yes, it was. Did I realize down the line
That's
No, you
that's
don't get any
really
follow-up.
ironic for you to say that.
Yeah, good. Go ahead, Chinmay.
Yeah, was it my original idea in the sense that was I thinking of a replacement for, the Hangout space? Because if you see, there was also a HFC renovation point. So I was definitely thinking in terms of Hangout. So this was an original point. But then I had later spoken to Kushal, and he had told me that they were looking for spaces to set up patios. But the problem is that, this wasn't receiving enough push from the students. So like I said, my responsibility would be to make sure that it happens.
Okay. Do you have a follow-up, Matthew?
Yeah, like to say
A
that it is
question,
a
not
fresh
a comment.
to say that it is a fresh initiative. We already had the Primark and the other foods right over there, and it was closed only because of the open food area being closed. It was already a hangout space for students
This isn't a food area. This is a hangout space.
Yeah, I understood. It was already
I would say
and now
that
food
it's
is
a
not
fresh
there.
initiative.
And how is that a fresh idea from your part to be put as a manifesto point in not as a follow-up?
Okay. You're done, right? Good. Did
Yeah,
you understand
thank you, Chinmay, for answering.
Fine. Do you have anything to answer, Chinmay? Or
Yes. I mean, regarding Primark specific follow-up spaces weren't in any of the previous secretaries' manifesto points.
Okay. Do we have Ritik? C19B20.
Yeah. So this question is regarding, like, let's just assume that the institute has reopened without vaccinating students. Let's just assume it, because then what are your initiatives to handle the crowd or people, like, so that this thing like doesn't get serious or something? Initiatives from your manifesto.
You don't need
not like you just make it up.
Let's just say
Initiative from
that
manifesto.
yeah, let's just say that assumption is not valid, because I can give you a mail from the dean saying that under no circumstance will they get people inside without vaccination, because this admin is fed up. Basically, that's a simple thing. It's too risky. I do not want to be responsible for the life of a kid under any circumstance. So I'll not be assuming such a thing, and it's not going to happen.
Okay. Good. Do we have Shivaram, CS18B56? Shivaram, CS18B56? No? Good. Panini, ED17B33? Nope. Akshat Shah, NA19B61?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good. You can ask your question.
Yeah, so my question is directed to towards Chinmay. So my question is basically with regards to the points mentioned about the long-term infrastructure plan, which was vetted by the IR secretary. So you mentioned in this soapbox previously that your plan is to involve the hostel members into calling the alumni and basically raising funds, right? So how do you plan to differ the directives of this initiative from that of Keep It Flowing? Like, how will that be different? Like, will you be targeting different
So I believe
hostel-based members?
Keep It Flowing.
Just
I
a
believe.
second. Can I complete my question, please?
Sure.
Yeah. So will you be targeting a different set or a different way? Will you be targeting the hostel past alumni? Because they have already been targeted throughout Keep It Flowing over and over again, and they were tired of being called about. And the Keep It Flowing members were compensated for their efforts. That's why the efforts had such a huge magnitude. So how do you plan to keep the people motivated?
Correct. So Keep It Flowing is for hostels in general. My approach would be more hostel specific, and I believe that hostel students have enough enthusiasm to uh, put up such a, like, I mean, it all boils down to hostel fees. I would say a few hostels already do have the capability to run a campaign to raise again. The scale of Keep It Flowing is different from the scale I'm looking at. I'm looking at stuff like maybe monkey proofing meshes on the top, which is being piloted in Badra, maybe will be scaled up to the rest. And I'm looking at industrial grade washing machines, stuff like these. So it's not as huge as Keep It Flowing to clear.
Ramcharan, can I just add a small question, like related to this question itself?
Okay, wait, I think, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, see, since you mentioned that the scale of projects is very minuscule to like towards getting a better washing machine, etc. Don't you think hostel budget is a better way to implement these changes than through alumni, which is very, I mean, you need a year-long campaign and then towards the end of the year, the tenure changes. Why do you need all that messiness when you can clearly source it through
So
hostel budget?
correct, when you try to do it through hostel budget, you have you are reaching into the pockets of the future residents of the hostel. So they will also, so say your hostel budget isn't sufficient to take up these isn't sufficient to bear the burden of these initiatives. You will be taking a loan from the corpus, and the future secretaries will have to keep paying that back. So I believe alumni funding might be a better alternative.
I mean, since see, future students are anyway going to benefit from it. Alumni have gone out of institute. Don't you think it's more reasonable to charge future students for it than the people who have already passed out?
Correct. But okay. The point here is your budget gets passed with the approval of the students. We are taking the approval of the future students without their consent. That's what's happening with corpus. So I believe that this might be more. This is better. Is what I believe. We can differ.
Fine. Fair enough.
Ramcharan, can I ask a doubt?
Regarding?
Regarding corpus, I mean, Chinmay just said that she'll be using
No.
corpus money to.
You only had 3 cross questions.
No, this is not a cross question. This is about clarification
but
of the problem she mentioned.
you cannot issue clarification. If the secretary wants to issue clarification. Okay.
Yes, I'll issue a clarification. Yes, yeah. So how does the corpus works is like every year secretary puts a budget, right? So whenever secretary fails to complete it, the hostel secretary sets a set of people fails to complete it, it goes back to corpus, right? If you are not mentioning in the budget, the remaining establishment amount gets back to the students, right? So obviously it's something what we saved throughout the years. Corpus is something we have saved throughout the years. So whenever we are taking money from that, we should also have a justification because someone else put in their money, right? So, and it will be used for the current and the future purposes, right? So whoever is coming in are going to use that, right? I have paid it, the later people are going to use that money. So we generally suggest that whenever you come up with a bigger, like, let's say even the washing machine, if you're trying to buy 10 washing machine for a lakh, right? That won't be used by the people who are currently residing. So if I'm taking from corpus, I'm giving it for the current people, it won't be good, right? So what I do is we people take money from the corpus and use that, and we'll repay it like for the next 4 years, because the next 4 years people will be using that washing machine, right? So it's a safety amount. Whenever there's an emergency, we can use that, right? And we also try to address the issues of bigger long-term investments, right? So we don't want to current set of students to pay entire for buying a TV or big things which can be used over the years, right? So for that purpose also, we take something kind of a loan from corpus. So that's how it's used.
Darwin, I have a doubt to you. I mean, so I can ask to Darwin, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like from what Darwin said, clearly corpus is such an important thing we take. But then in one of the initiative in Chinmay's feasibility report was stopping the money.
Again, this is not a doubt. This is again.
No, this is again a doubt only because there was an initiative that he wants to stop money.
How expected to explain feasibility report?
I mean, I had a doubt because there's a point about stopping money going into corpus. If you stop money going into corpus, how are you going to get money from corpus?
That's a question you could have asked. That's a question you could have asked, but you lost your chance. So you can ask it later at any time.
I understand that. Thank you. But then there's a lot of questions to be asked, and 3 is not a number.
We've given you a chance to ask 4 as well, which is under joint mail.
Sorry,
Cool. We have
Ramcharan and Panini, you just called my name.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have my question is directed towards Anfas, and my question is I'm a CMGFS Supercard and MMCC Supercard right now, like this thing. So this CMGFS, this AIR app which he proposes looks like just an extension of the current CMGFS app which we are working on. So I don't find anything totally new. And the other thing is the data-driven model which Anfas is talking about just looks like a mass, and it doesn't actually give any this thing, because like once you work with data-driven models and all, there's not like pattern which you find in every data. And how do you recruit cohorts and supercohorts? Do you expect them to know some data-driven modeling stuff and all, or what do you expect?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So I'll start from the beginning. It's about InstiAir. The current CMGFS app is something that we are still working on. And so it's not an extension. If you have seen, there would be a windows of adding to shop that is not already there. For example, wash door or any other. It's just an example. Okay, I'm not telling wash door in specific. We have an extended thing. If you have worked on the app, you will know that right now the app is like an alternative to the CMGFS Finders app that we have right now. That is done. Secondly, coming to data-driven thing, no, I do not wish to take a coordinator who already has pre-thing, because my initiative in every team that I have worked till now, it's always about learning the new skill. I have talked to the data analytics club head convener who told me that they will give the required training for the coordinators. Now I'll tell you what the patterns is. Just think about it. 3 years back when Nihal introduced this egg and cornflakes, Darwin had given me an advice, given all of us, both me, Chinmay and Kanti, in doing a soapbox about, in order to cater to the problems of people going out of the messes, think about how to bring people into the mess. And he told me that this example clearly. When they introduced egg and cornflakes in the breakfast, they saw a sharp increase in the number of people coming to the breakfast. They saw a sharp thing, but I asked them how much people came and more, and they did not have an idea. That means we do not have at the moment any way to quantify or measure the impact of any of the new policies. That's it. Darwin, as he said, from his experience, he's able to gauge it, but a coordinator cannot. I asked him why, because he told me that in the HS sphere, the HS knows about all the spheres, and the coordinator team or the same JFS team is not having that much knowledge. But I personally believe that once they start working with this data, they will figure out the patterns. They will explain each and every change in the data. I'll tell you one simple example. I put a graph. I can see the number of people coming in. On a particular day, I see an increase. I have to explain why is there an increase of students. It could be a lot of things. It could be because it's an agar and they're giving gulab jamun there. Okay, so that's a very good explanation. It might also be because the food in that menu day is bad. It might go down. So the idea is to collect more feedback on that day. You get the point, right? The pattern is there. Second thing is this, like to make the team stronger. I can clearly tell you, if I asked you how, if when you were working together, when we were working on the HFC hybrid model, when Darwin asked us a question of how many people can we expect to the HFC, I was clueless. Everybody was clueless because only Darwin knew, because that too from his experience. We did not have significant data. But with data, anybody in the team can do that. Think about it. It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
And about CMGFS, also one more thing. Same thing goes with CMGFS. We have very much better clean data in CMGFS side because it's very sharp. How many lime juices are being sold? There might be a reason. It might be because the climate. So it's all about explaining the data. That's a skill that I want the coordinators in CMGFS and MMCT to learn. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Anfis, I agree on all the things. So tell me 5 metrics which you are going to tackle with this data-driven models, right? You talk about data usage, data usage. I get it. But tell me about, mention example of 5 metrics, because if you're giving a team an entire data work, there should be a lot of metrics to work on. Tell me just 5 metrics which you will be optimizing it with your data-driven approach.
Yeah, so the data that I'll be collecting is all of you had mentioned, the plate wastage and production wastage from ozone, menu from the MMCC codes, and then amount of people, the traffic from Tristan. That's the 3 data, and I want to link them together. And I want to explain why there is a spike with the menu. If I change something in the menu, I can see that change.
No.
Yeah.
Again, you're answering the same thing. It's
Okay,
very
tell
simple.
me what do you mean by metric?
Tell me the metrics. So you are saying that you will increase the revenue of HFC by optimizing the menu. That is the metric you are going to work. That is something. Revenues, optimizing revenue is one metric.
Yeah.
Like that, say me some 6 to 7 metrics what your team will be working on next year.
Okay, this is about the data driven or the HFC model that we
About
are.
the data driven. The data driven only. Tell me, you're giving the data to the student, right? So with data, what they are going to do? They have to optimize something, right? They have to figure out some problem.
It's about explaining the pattern. No, I mean, it's not like a metric specific thing, is it? It's about explaining the pattern, the same thing. For example, right now, when do a CMJFS code go for feedback? Randomly, right?
So wait.
So just to clarify the question, I think he means there's ton of data you can potentially correct. So you do have to limit it so that you can find a pattern. It's not like you look at the cluster of data and
understood.
get a pattern already, right? So
fine.
What are you like monitoring? What metrics are you monitoring, and how do you plan on using it?
All right, cool. So I would, the first thing is I want to bring the pattern between wastage and menu, one thing. Second thing is the relation between the student traffic and menu. That's the second metric. And for now,
I think again you're looking for qualitative. I mean, when you're optimizing, when you're deriving some pattern, you need some quantitative metrics. No? So what quantitative metrics are you using?
Quantitative as in the number of students. Are you talking in that sense?
Yeah. Like number of students on a particular day is one metric. Like what other metrics are you using?
Yeah, so the weight in kilograms for plate wastage, weight in kilograms for production wastage, number of students coming in a mess period, and then the items in the menu. That will be the metrics. Like that will be the things. I mean, that's a quantity, right? There's no other numbers here. That's a clear number.
Okay, cool. We'll move back to audience. Do we have Shivaram here?
Yeah, I'm here. I just want to ask this question, like as the vaccines are very low, and I'm sure that we won't be get vaccinated by August or so because from the trends in the news. So, is there any plan from the institute side to get us vaccinated, or is there any vision from the secretaries to do that?
I don't believe that we are at liberty to give you any kind of guarantee at the moment.
Okay.
Okay, done. Cool. Do we have Naveen B16 something? No? Okay. We have asked most of the named questions, so we'll move on to the questions that people are expected SEC to ask. Oh wait, we have one more question. Yeah. Akash Achuran.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead and ask your question.
So my question is for Chinmay. So Chinmay, you had mentioned a manifesto point regarding nutritional subscriptions, right? Well, if I remember correctly, Darwin had a manifesto point stating that he'll be adding a fitness menu. And a couple of while back, we had a meeting, SOC and some course from the HI sphere, and the secretary had a meeting. And the conclusion was to have such a subscription-based model, if I'm right. Maybe even Darwin can pitch in. So how is this, a new initiative? Like that was supposed to be implemented by him itself, right? Is this a follow-up?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't aware of such a subscription-based model being in the pipelines. And how my manifesto point is different from Darwin's is that when you try to implement a fitness menu, the cost goes up significantly, and we are not sure whether there will be enough. Because if you want to implement a menu, you'll have the whole 800 people. You'll need 800 people subscribing to that plan, and there will also be differential pricing, which is again not appreciated. If you want to reduce that number, you have to divide the halls. How do you ensure that people don't slide in? All that's logistical issues. So which is why fitness menu doesn't work out, and which is why I thought of this subscription based model.
Okay.
I really wasn't aware that there were plans, if at all.
Okay.
Okay, just a second. Did you say fitness menu was infeasible? I just dusted out. I don't need any question or answer. Just tell me. No. She had asked just told.
Yeah, you can just repeat what
Like,
you just said, Chinmay.
did you say fitness menu is not feasible?
I said it was cost inefficient in the sense that it will need a lot of logistical setup.
Okay.
So infeasible. Okay, thanks.
So So yes, in mind. So again, a small clarification. Yes, for the fitness menu and whatever we have planned. Right. So it is what difficulty I felt was about this nutrition things and all. It is very difficult to bucket into a specific set of people. I saw so many different varieties. As Brisha mentioned, every sports people need should be differently catered, right? So I wasn't able to put it into a subscription model. So entire idea was to put into the extras or to put it as like a food court model. So again, you have came up with the idea of this subscription model, right? You have come up with the idea of subscription model. Do you think you can fit in there? Because you need like lots and lots of different customization. People are so diverse, right? So how will you address that? How many types of subscriptions combos you have? Did you work on that? Is there any number with you?
Not currently. First, we'll pilot one and we'll check its success, and we will get back based on the consultation from the nutritionist as well.
Okay. Done, right? Good. Hari Prasad. Yeah, you can just go ahead.
Yes. Hello. My question is for Anfas. So this is regarding the cycle servicing point. So I have two things to say. First thing is, if you remember a few years back, there was a water crunch and they sent most of the people home. So most of the people had gone home, the cycles were still at NST, and they came back, there was no cycle ride required. Second thing, like it has been mentioned plenty of times in the same meeting that not all 6,000 people are going to come to NST at the same time. It is going to be like phased out. I don't think NST is going to invite all 6,000 at the same time. So if people are coming out in a phased in manner inside the institute, cycle service will also in a phased in manner. So under what context is your cycle service point relevant if there isn't going to be 6,000 people coming at the same time? Is a cycle catering for 6,000 people relevant?
Sure. So first thing, I was not aware that Institute was closed down for 1 year last year due to water crunch. And secondly, it's about slotting the thing. If it's phased, how much numbers are coming? I'm going to slot according to that.
Not 1 year. It was a 3-month summer period where they didn't give allocation to.
Oh, okay. Then I thought when you compare 3 months to 1 year, you know how much the damage cycle can get in 3 months and 1 year. It's completely different. It's almost 4 times, right? So the number of people that need servicing after 3 months and 1 year, you cannot compare. And that's not even 1 year. If you're going back in August, it's going to be 1.5 years. And how is 1.5 years?
Yes,
That's
the crux
5
of the
times.
question was there aren't going to
Yeah,
be
that's 5
6,000
times.
people
That's the first
at the
part.
same
And
time.
second part, if there is no 6,000 people, how many people are going to come? I'm going to slot accordingly. My point is to reduce hassle. I don't want people to be in trouble. How much faces people are coming in face, according to that I'll slot. That's the whole point, right? We want our students to be satisfied. We don't want them to be standing in big queues outside the hostel, outside the small shops that we have. We don't want people who comes from Alagananda all the way to Tapti to see that it's filled and then have to go back and come at a later time and again see it filled. Like, I don't want that. That's all. It's not about 6,000 people coming together. It's about how many people is coming. We are going to slot it in the best way possible.
They don't wait in queues. They just leave
Yeah,
the cycles
just think
and go.
about
But
it. Let's see that. Let's take Tapti Hostel cycle shop for instance. How much space do we have in front of the Tapti Hostel? We know how many the cycles can come there, right? So when a student comes from Alagadanda to see all the weather and he tells that, so sir, we are filled for today, please don't come. He'll have to go back again. We don't want such an inconvenience, do we? I mean, I don't know. I don't want such an inconvenience. Yeah.
Okay, done, right? Cool. Do we have Naveen here? Yeah. You had multiple questions in the Google form. Just ask one.
Yeah, hello guys. Very good evening to everyone. And
good evening.
My question is for Chinmay and as well as Anfas. So my question is that, for example, I stay in Hyderabad. In Hyderabad, tiffin cost is 25 rupees. Early breakfast cost is 25. Lunch cost is 45 rupees meals, and dinner cost is 45. So total 115 rupees. So we are getting super quality food in Hyderabad. So I'm just taking example of Hyderabad. In 115 rupees, we are getting super quality food like dal, two type of curries, curd, etc., etc. But in IIT Madras, they are charging 134 rupees. Like just now, as Darwin said, they are charging 134 rupees. But we are not getting same quality in IIT Madras mess. And what are the initiative you guys are going to take? And like I need answer from both of you.
All right. So should I like explain why the number is higher?
Yeah, exactly, because see outside.
Yeah. So I understood. So it's a very relevant question. So the answer lies in bulk. I mean, when the shops making, they do not have to go. I don't think these shops in Hyderabad, I'm not really sure. Is it like a big hotel? Is it like a 5-star hotel or is it just a small hotel? So based on that, we'll have to see whether they have FSSI certification, whether they're following all the Brain Mary and whether they're following all the big protocols. You know how much investment that any caterer will have to put in a machine, right? It's a very huge, and I don't know if all the shops are having that much investment, and these caterers need to get that investment as well. So that's the second thing. Quality is something, it's again qualitative, and we can only try to tell them that this is a problem, please get it done. And there are other procedures also that we have in messes. So this is something that we really do. And secondly, so that I think that answers the question for 115. Second thing, in Hyderabad, one doubt, for breakfast, can you get unlimited doshas? We cannot, right? We have to pay per dosha. Same thing also dinner and thing. So it's all about the answer is about bulk. So I believe that will be an answer to your question. I mean, for 115, you cannot get unlimited food. I don't know. I don't think so. At least in
Go
my
like see for breakfast, if they give one dosha, how you can eat only half of the dosha itself. The quantity of dosha will be very good in Hyderabad or else in etc. in any metro cities. And when it comes to as I told you, lunch and dinner, it costs 45 to 50 rupees. They are providing unlimited, because recent times I was going for my personal work, I was eating outside only. So then this I thought to ask these questions because outside
yeah,
they are.
understood. Anna, so that is a very good, I get a small initiative. So since our tenders are over, I could maybe contact that particular vendor from your place to come to Insta. If they are ready to do that, why not? Perfect idea. You can give me the contact and I'll call if I become the HS. Yes. Or Chinmay, whoever becomes the HS, can try and get that vendor also.
Yeah.
But
So
given that they follow all these rules and
134 is the current price they are operating for the COVID situation. So I've talked to the SDR manager. He has assured me that the prices will definitely reduce once the situation returns to normalcy. So I think we can also expect some relief from that area.
Yeah, it's like a good answer, but my question is that Ramcharan, please 1 minute. Hope you understand. See,
Just ask your question.
yeah,
We
we are
don't get
eating in
multiple follow-ups.
yeah, we are see in each mess there are almost 800 to 1,000 people are registering for each mess. So when 800 means it's a bulk amount of bulk students eating in one mess. So obviously the price should be less, and it is almost like okay for as you told the cost is 134 rupees in this COVID situation. If it is a normal situation, maybe it costs like 110 to 120 rupees. So I
107,
need the
107.
answer. Yeah, maybe one.
107.
See, yeah.
Yeah. So
We-
yeah. Chinmay, you
we
can
will
go ahead.
have we also have I am not sure whether this restaurant you mentioned has all the protocols that it needs to follow, and whether it needs to have a food consultancy on board. So there are a lot of other operational procedures that we need to follow as some as a mess operating in IIT Madras. There's a lot of other things that we need to take care of, which is why the additional cost, I believe.
Yeah,
I think we're done. Naveen, I
Go
think you've got enough chances to ask follow-ups and also.
Yeah. Ramcharan, yeah.
And yes,
my version completed.
You can contact
Anfas,
the
1 second, please. Anfas, once.
you can contact the
Ramcharan,
candidates later.
Yeah.
You've
No,
gotten we'll ask
another small question from pass out students, please. Another small question, very small
No.
question from pass out students.
No, we're not allowed. See, everybody gets equal chance. One question,
No,
one
bro,
follow-up,
we
and
have right
you've
to
used
ask,
more
bro.
than that.
No, we have right to ask because see, pass out
No, you
students.
don't have the right to ask. Election Commission moderates this
Then
soapbox. You
what
can
SEC
reach
is doing,
the
man? Then what SEC is doing? We have rights to
You're
ask.
given a chance. You can ask them through the different channels that they have. Both of them are on Instagram.
We
You
don't
can
have
mail
any
them.
channels.
You
We are
can
busy
have
with
WhatsApp.
we are busy with assignments and all. This is the only opportunity to ask.
You've
Okay,
got
we have. No,
No.
Ramcharan, this is not the right thing, man. This is not the right thing. A small question from pass out students. It's a very important. Very important.
No.
Small question.
Meher,
First, see,
No.
say pass out
You
students.
can, candidates, you can choose to answer this, or you can choose not to speak as well. We'll move on to the next
Ramcharan,
question.
see, when you don't have capable, you should resign your SEC. Okay, this is I'm asking. This is
No, you're not
what I'm
following
saying.
the rules that were set up for everybody. Why do you think you're special than somebody else who got one question, one follow-up? Just use the chance that was given. Cool. Ashwant, is Ashwant here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yeah,
you're audible.
Yeah. Okay. So my question is to Chinmay. In your manifesto, you mentioned about the delivery system for primary. The delivery will be made to their hostel rooms and their convenience. So my doubt is that how will you ensure that there won't be any increase in the number of packaging waste that comes from this, because waste management is very important, and that is one of we are very worried about the environment. That is one of the reasons why motor vehicles are not allowed by the students. So how will you ensure that there is no pollution by packaging will be there?
No, we can have bags to carry the items, and then those people can replace the bags once they can take the bags. So we can have reusable bags, and whatever they buy will be put in those bags. They'll be delivered. Those people can take the stuff that belongs to them, and they can return the bags to the delivery person.
What if the students do I get a follow-up?
You get one follow-up. Yeah, ask the question.
Okay. I mean, not everyone comes from their room to get the. Not everyone comes from their room to get. Suppose someone is coming from outside place or someone. Somewhere from not from the room. How will they carry all the things?
The delivery is going to happen outside the hostel, right? Outside the hostel. I think it should be fine for the student to manage. And
It is.
we will have the delivery.
If they have ordered so many items, how can they carry all of them from without
No,
having?
When he's ordering in such bulk, he will also have planned the delivery, and he will definitely plan for it because it's not like he's just ordering something chuma and he's getting it delivered, and there'll also be time slots for the delivery. So I think the students can work that out.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. We don't have any people with names that have asked questions in the Google form, so I suppose nobody has. Do the executive council have any questions that they want to ask that they couldn't ask in the beginning?
Yes, I have few questions, but if other executive council members ask something, they can go forward because some few people didn't get chance. Anyone else in executive council? Yes, then I'll go forward. No, so I have a question. So yeah, this is the second manifesto point question for Chinmay. Okay. So you have a point about nutritional consultant, dietitian on a payroll to chalk out, right? So tell me, what is the entire plan? Whom you are going to cater again?
So the plan is to, so I've talked with one nutritionist and one nutritional consultancy, and they've given me quotes much lower than what I've mentioned in my feasibility report. And I've also talked to Chandrakasu sir and CFO sir, CCW chairman and vice chairman from
Bro,
OH.
I didn't ask your feasibility. Sorry, sir. I just asking what you're going to do with this point. What is your plan? What is your plan of action
Okay,
for this
correct.
point?
Okay, so the dietitian is going to one, oversee the menu part, and number two, take surveys on the students, their eating habits, their BMI, their lifestyle choices, or their palate, and their willingness to pay for extras, or pay for something supplementary. All these they're going to take into account, and they're going to categorize them into a few categories, and then they are going to chalk out plans, as in, so you have a menu for today. Say there's a fry item, and say there's dal. Okay, now say someone's higher, like someone's very enthusiastic about fitness, and he's following a rigorous fitness routine. The dietitian will then calculate what is needed, and he will advise him. This is just for example, I'm not sure of the accuracy of this. So he will tell him to take maybe 3 servings of dal and 1 serving of the fry, something like that.
So see, exactly. So the entire question here is both the points in optional subscription, and here you are trying to bucket the people right into different categories and trying to do that. Do you think bucketing is the right solution here? See, I couldn't bucket the sports contingent people.
I'm
Yeah.
saying it's the most efficient solution, whether right or
So
wrong. It is
can let me complete my question? Yes, right. So yeah.
right.
So
Go ahead.
so if you are again trying to bucket it, give me a number so that I have to be sure, right? You are going to do this point. Give me a number, how many buckets. So you should have done your background work, like how many buckets you are going to make these people into, and now you are going to cater. It's very subjective, right? Whatever you are saying is very subjective of collecting
I
forms
agree.
and all this stuff.
For around 20 buckets, the quote I received was 2.5 lakhs from the nutritionist. This is a Palito NutriCare agency. I mean, it depends on how much we can afford. And once we have the survey, we will able to gauge how many buckets are required, I believe.
So yeah, so what if the number of buckets increases? So you are saying 2.5 lakh rupees, right? So whatever we are using the culinary expert, it's pretty costly. I don't know whose quote is it, but we have consulted throughout so many nutritionists and culinary experts we have. So they fairly charge very high. For example, let's say our menu making costing, to go through that, they'll ask him 50 to 1 lakh, right? 50K to 1 lakh. So is your cost implication won't affect this point. I can, and you can't custom cater here also the students, and you're trying to bucket it. You should have a definite quantity, number of buckets what you're going to make. And also that is directly proportional to cost.
We can't have the number of buckets without the survey, right?
Yeah, but it is directly proportional to cost implications, right? So you have
No,
a
but the
budget, upper
cost
cap, you set that,
implications,
right?
OHM is ready to take up the cost implications because we are trying to get Eat Right Campus certification. And if you check the checklist of Eat Right Campus certification, on page 13, point number 4 is the need for a nutritionist, clearly mentioned.
Oh, yeah, exactly. The need for the nutritionist to consult the regular menu. Okay. It's a regular menu. That's all it says in that parameter, right? That is simple and we already have it, right? We just have a culinary expert. We wanted to extend it to a nutritional consultant. I don't think so. That point is getting related here.
How not? We also, so, okay. Okay, student.
I'm saying that we already satisfy that criteria. Don't go into ERC. That is different. We're already satisfying that criteria. Just talk about your plan for the student, right? I have 9,000 students in campus, right? Out of this 9,000 students, this nutritional consultant will work or not, right? It's not for small number and it has very big cost implications, right? Have you worked on it? Let's keep it simple. Have you worked on it? Let's have binary questions. Have you worked on it? Or the cost implication part?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
So do you think we'll be able to do it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And you are saying that the fund will come from OHM.
Yes. I mean, they've talked about you'd be funding them, but yeah, mainly for OHM.
Okay. So see, exactly, and the clarification here is it's not related to ERC. OHM generally funds for culinary expert and all those things, but I don't think so if it's going of several lakhs, they will be able to afford it. Maybe you have to still work on other possible venues of revenues, and you have to still be quantitative on this point. Yes. Yes, one more question I have for Anfas.
Yeah.
So again, so you have this 24/7 to cater the students across all our HFC shops.
Yes.
Right. So did you talk to previous secretary? Did they try this out, or it's entirely new? You are trying it. Have you done your background work on it?
Yes. So the one problem that I was told was that if the caterer do not want to run a shop for 24/7, if he do not have enough sales. But the point is, when Suprabha was also taken away, there was no 24/7 shops. So if we get this,
Krishna Vilasam was there. Clarification: Krishna Vilasam was there.
Yeah, it was there. But then, if I bring this point about, I will get it's a 1 month pilot. I will see the number of students who's coming. If it's less, it means clearly that student does not want it. But that's not the kind of information that I got. So if the students do not want it, then I also do not want it. I work for the students, right? So then I'll tell the capital, sir, you don't need to put all this extra.
No.
But you don't
exactly. The point is, see, 1 minute. So point is, the thing is, you have initially told about vendors are not willing. Let's see about students. Obviously, students want
the vendors
24/7.
are willing if they get sales.
Right. Yeah. When we piloted for Krishna Vilasam itself, right, and we also tried it in Zaitun in 2 years before, right. We were not able to get enough sales when Zaitun and Krishna Vilasam, only 2 shops running 24/7, couldn't break even. Do you think morning 6 o'clock someone will come and eat pizzas and something and was? Right. What? See, all the stable items were not being sold. Right. What is there in HFC? What is there?
So
Other kind of things are there.
if there is no sale after the 1 month, I'll not continue it.
So you're just going to pilot with this point. You're just going to try it out. Whether let's throw a stone and see whether it's happening or not. Right.
Kind of, yes. It's about the students. If the students doesn't want it, then there's no point.
It's not about the students, bro. See, leave about the students. I'm not talking about. Obviously, students wants it, right? It's about the feasibility. See, students want a lot of things, right? The point is to whether it's feasible or not from our end. So we can't tell something that's very difficult, right? So that's what I wanted to entirely ensure that your feasibility on this part, because it was tried by almost all the secretaries. We request caterer to extend the timings.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. So that's all from my side.
Cool. if nobody else has any questions, we'll ask a general question to both of you. Can both of you name one point from your opponent's manifesto that you would implement if you get elected?
Okay. A point, right? 1 point. And
Yeah,
what
1
if
point.
there are common? What if there are common points? Something that is not
You
common,
can
right?
you can give any answer. You can give any answer.
Okay, so I would implement the a point, half part of the point where she says that she'll bring optional subscriptions to monthly plans. I don't want monthly plans, but I'll bring more items, health protein items to the extras menu.
Okay, what about
Or
you,
like-
Chinmay?
I would implement the homing committee point.
Okay. One more question. Do you guys know that you are accountable to the Student Legislative Council in some way, right? You have to submit your reports of whatever work you have done once every 2 months. So
yeah.
if you don't do it, that's kind of not fulfilling your constitutional responsibility. So before the election itself happens, what penalty would you like yourself to be given if you do not abide by the constitutional rules? Anybody can answer.
Is this like something that's after my tenure or just can you
No,
repeat the
during your tenure as well, you can be penalized in some way or form by CCC, or the Legislative Council can also say that if you do not abide by the constitutional rules, you can be penalized in some way. So if you do not abide by it yourself by not submitting reports on time or not doing your constitutional responsibilities, what penalties would you like to take? Because you
I
have
would definitely owe a public apology to the students.
Okay, just an apology.
An apology matters a lot to me, and I'll try whatever I can do to not apologize by doing what I promised to do.
Okay, Chinmay.
I need some time to think. Mhm.
You can just pass or put this answer somewhere
No,
in your.
no, give me 30 seconds.
And I definitely don't want to be kicked out of the position, if that's the kind of answer that you respect.
No. There are set of penalties. You can also be big enough and magnanimous enough to resign yourself. So that, like, it's your wish. I'm just asking so that you can be accountable later. Because a lot of STEM students believe that there are no accountability measures once you get elected, and that people just generally ask for midterm elections so that they can vote to keep you or not. So in that way, you have to be accountable in some way or form.
Yeah.
I would hold myself accountable to SLC inspection or like cross questioning, something like a mini soapbox again, and definitely an apology if the work found is like if the reports weren't submitted in time. Definitely, I would like the SLC look into my work and question me as to why reports weren't submitted on time, and yeah, because I feel that being questioned is worse than issuing an apology.
Oh, so once again, so one doubt. So was I supposed to say about the trial part also? I thought I was assuming that you guys trialed me. I got the punishment. What kind of punishment I should take? So like just a doubt.
No, I was asking at the end method. So basically,
So basically, my
trial
trial
again.
is over. If I'm found guilty, and I just need to be punished. And what kind of punishment I'll take?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
And
Then
you
my
said
answer
public
is-
apology.
Yeah.
Cool. Nobody else has any other questions, I suppose.
But I would
Or did
also like
anybody?
to add. I would also like to add if our legislators who are part of our standing committees were also sensitized about our work, it would help us so much in compiling our reports. Because having been in both SLC and having seen the other side, as in the executive council members side, I believe that there's a gap that needs to be bridged.
Okay. I think it's almost 11 o'clock. We couldn't get to one more question, but I hope Akash, Achudan, and Sudarshan, who had those questions, can reach out to the candidates.
Sure.
You can candidates. You can just say where students can reach you.
So I'll put out my mobile number in the chat and my email ID. You guys can reach out to me there.
Cool. I think some of you did not understand the rules of the Soapbox. So basically, I think we follow the format pretty much. And I think everybody who submitted a question in the Google form got to ask a question, except last two. Yeah, that's why we are asking them to give their contact details here. We thank the candidates for their civil participation and also all the audience members who did not make much of us except one or two cases. We hope that you join us for Soapboxes that are going to be held tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and also the day after that. For the rest, today we had RAS and now we have HAS. We have 7 more positions for which we'll have Soapbox over 3 days. This recording also will be uploaded on YouTube and also will be shared to the general student body. Please watch those and vote on April 7th.
Yeah, thank you all for your time. Thank you very much. Thank you, SEC, for conducting this session.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. And Ramchan, are we supposed to give feedback from outside?
Feedback for what?
For the end of the session. I mean, I have a few suggestions.
You can just mail us.
I mean,
mail to SEC@the-rate-of.
all right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks to everyone who has joined. You can just leave.
All the best.